do the left side now. So you're pressing that low back down into the floor, stomach tight, as we draw the left knee into the chest and circle that left ankle all around.
The 1980s were packed with bold trends that defined a generation. From jelly shoes to slap bracelets, these fads were everywhere until they faded away. Today, we're diving into 22 forgotten fads from the 1980s that once ruled our lives. How many of these forgotten fads do you still remember? Let's dive in. Jelly shoes. If you were a kid in the 1980s, chances are you had at least one pair of jelly shoes or knew someone who did. These brightly colored, translucent shoes made of PVC plastic were all the rage during the summer months. First introduced at the 1982 World's Fair in Knoxville, Tennessee, jelly shoes quickly caught on thanks to their unique look and affordable price. You could find them in department stores like Sears, Kmart, and even in local drugstores for under $10. Their low cost made them accessible to everyone, and they came in a variety of colors, from neon pink to glittery gold. But as popular as they were, jelly shoes weren't exactly known for their comfort. Anyone who wore them for more than an hour remembers the sweaty, blistered feet they often left behind. Still, that didn't stop them from becoming a summer staple for kids and teens alike. You could spot them at the beach, in the park, or just about anywhere kids were running around. Despite their decline in the 90s, jelly shoes never completely disappeared. They made a brief comeback in the early 2000s and can still be found today, marketed as retro fashion pieces by brands like Urban Outfitters. Slap bracelets. One of the most unforgettable trends of the late 1980s had to be slap bracelets. With their neon colors, wild patterns, and that satisfying snap as they wrapped around your wrist, these simple accessories quickly became a playground obsession. Invented by a Wisconsin shop teacher in 1983, slap bracelets were made from flexible steel covered in fabric or plastic, and they took over schools almost overnight. You could pick them up just about anywhere. Toy stores, gas stations, and even corner shops stocked them. Kids would trade different designs at recess, collect as many as possible, and proudly show off their growing collections. But despite their popularity, slap bracelets had a flaw. Low-quality versions would sometimes expose sharp metal edges, leading to cuts and bruises. As a result, many schools banned them, and their meteoric rise ended just as quickly as it began. Even though slap bracelets faded from school playgrounds, they've made occasional comebacks over the years, often reappearing as nostalgic accessories or even trendy hair ties. For those who grew up in the 80s, the memory of that snap still brings a smile. Parachute pants. If you were into breakdancing or just wanted to look the part in the 1980s, parachute pants were an absolute must-have. These shiny, lightweight nylon pants were designed for maximum movement, making them perfect for pulling off those slick spins and flips. Originally worn by breakdancers, they quickly became a streetwear staple thanks to their flashy style and practicality. You could find parachute pants in all sorts of colors and styles at stores like JCPenney and Macy's, with some even featuring zippered pockets and bold designs. The material, made from ripstop nylon, similar to the kind used in actual parachutes, was durable, lightweight, and flexible, allowing for ease of movement. These pants became so iconic that brands like Bugle Boy cashed in on the trend, making them even more desirable and upping their price to $25 to $40 per pair, which wasn't cheap at the time. What set parachute pants apart wasn't just the style, but their association with hip-hop culture. Shows like Soul Train and movies like Breakin' gave these pants a massive boost in visibility, and soon everyone wanted to emulate the style of their favorite dancers. The trend extended beyond just breakdancers. Pop stars and fashion-forward teens started wearing them, solidifying parachute pants as a key part of 1980s street fashion. You could even spot them in urban music videos and on stage during live performances. Members-only jackets. If there was one jacket that defined the 80s, it had to be the members-only jacket. Introduced in 1981, this slim-fit nylon jacket with its signature epaulets and ribbed cuffs became a status symbol almost overnight. With the tagline, "When you put it on, something happens," the brand managed to capture the imaginations of fashion-forward men and women alike. Everyone from high school students to celebrities like Michael Jackson was spotted wearing one. Available in an array of colors, these jackets were sold at department stores like Macy's and Sears, and their appeal wasn't just about the style. They were marketed as exclusive, giving the wearer a sense of belonging to something bigger. By the mid-80s, members-only jackets were everywhere, even appearing in TV shows and music videos, making them one of the most sought-after fashion items of the decade. The brand also made a point of aligning itself with social causes, launching campaigns like encouraging people to vote in the 1986 elections. They even created limited edition jackets for special events, further boosting their appeal. And if you wanted to really stand out, wearing your jacket slightly unzipped with the collar popped was the way to go. Cabbage Patch Kids. No toy captured the hearts of kids in the 1980s quite like Cabbage Patch Kids. These soft-bodied dolls with unique faces became a nationwide sensation shortly after they were introduced in 1983. What made them stand out was that no two dolls were alike. Each came with its own name, birth certificate, and adoption papers, giving kids the feeling they were adopting a real baby. The demand for these dolls was so intense that it led to chaotic scenes in toy stores during the holiday season, with parents scrambling to get their hands on one. Cabbage Patch Kids weren't just toys, they became a cultural phenomenon. You could find them advertised on TV, sold in every major department store, and even featured in their own animated specials. Xavier Roberts, the creator of the dolls, originally started selling them at craft fairs, but when toy company Coleco took over production, they exploded into the mainstream. What many people might not know is that Cabbage Patch Kids were based on Roberts' earlier line of handmade Little People dolls, which he crafted by hand before mass production. The success of Cabbage Patch Kids not only dominated the toy aisles, but also set the stage for the craze over collectible dolls for years to come. Swatch Watches. When it came to expressing personal style in the 1980s, Swatch Watches were the go-to accessory. Launched by the Swiss company in 1983, these bold, colorful wristwatches were a far cry from the traditional serious designs the Swiss were known for. Swatch Watches were all about fun, featuring bright colors, quirky patterns, and even clear plastic cases that let you see the inner workings. It wasn't uncommon to see people wearing multiple Swatch Watches out and stacking them up on their wrists as fashion statements. Swatch stores popped up in major cities across the world, and soon, these watches were on the wrists of teens, pop stars, and trendsetters. Limited edition designs and collaborations with artists like Keith Haring made them even more collectible. If you wanted to stay ahead of the curve, a Swatch was a must-have accessory. They were relatively affordable too, compared to other Swiss watches, which made them accessible to a broader audience. Swatch watches also played a crucial role in revitalizing the struggling Swiss watch industry at the time. Their success helped reignite global interest in Swiss-made products, ensuring that the legacy of Swiss craftsmanship lived on, even in a playful, pop culture-driven format. Big hair. When people think of 80s fashion, one of the first things that comes to mind is big hair. It wasn't just a style, it was a defining look of the decade. Both men and women embraced towering hairdos that required a serious amount of teasing, curling, and of course, hairspray. Brands like Aquanet became household names as people aimed to achieve the highest and most voluminous hair possible. Big hair wasn't limited to one group either. It crossed cultural and social boundaries, from the rock stars of glam metal like John Bon Jovi and Poison to TV personalities and Hollywood stars. Even pop icons like Madonna and Cyndi Lauper helped push the trend, sporting massive teased locks in music videos and live performances. Achieving the look took time. People would spend hours in front of the mirror with teasing combs, curling irons, and cans of hairspray to perfect their style. This trend wasn't just about fashion, it was a rebellion against the simpler, more natural styles of the 1970s. Big hair was bold, loud, and unapologetically extravagant, fitting perfectly with the larger-than-life vibe of the decade. Hair salons were always packed, as people went in for perms or professional styling to keep their locks looking fresh for the weekend. Leg warmers. Leg warmers were a defining fashion trend of the 1980s, and you didn't need to be a dancer to wear them. While originally designed for athletes and dancers to keep their muscles warm during workouts, leg warmers became a must-have accessory for anyone looking to stay in style during the decade. Thanks to the aerobics craze, fueled by fitness icons like Jane Fonda and her famous workout videos, leg warmers quickly moved from the gym to the streets. You could find them in a variety of colors and fabrics, often made from knitted materials or synthetic blends, and they were sold in stores ranging from high-end department chains to budget-friendly shops. They weren't just practical, they were a key part of the athleisure look that became popular at the time. Paired with leotards, tights, or even worn-over jeans, leg warmers added a pop of color and flair to any outfit. Neon versions were especially popular, helping to tie in with the vibrant, bold fashion palette of the 80s. While leg warmers eventually fell out of favor as the fitness trend evolved, they remain a memorable symbol of the decade, often appearing in 80s-themed parties and throwback events. Popped collars. Nothing says 1980s preppy fashion quite like the popped collar. This trend, which became a staple of the decade, was all about standing out and showing off your status. Most commonly seen on polo shirts from brands like Ralph Lauren, Lacoste, or even Izod, the look of the popped collar gave off an air of casual coolness. It wasn't enough to just wear a nice polo. Popping the collar was the finishing touch to the outfit, transforming a simple shirt into a fashion statement. The trend was most popular among the preppy, yacht club-inspired fashion culture that dominated certain social circles. You'd often see people pairing their popped collar polos with khakis, boat shoes, and sweaters tied around their shoulders. Some even took it a step further, wearing 2 or more polos at once, with each collar popped, layering the colors for extra flair. Popped collars were everywhere, from college campuses to country clubs, and this trend transcended gender, with both men and women embracing the look. It was a symbol of confidence and effortless style, fitting perfectly with the aspirational, yuppie culture of the 80s. While it faded by the early 90s, the popped collar remains one of the most memorable and parodied fashion statements of the decade. Friendship bracelets. Friendship bracelets were more than just an accessory in the 1980s. They were a symbol of connection, loyalty, and individuality. Made from colorful threads woven into intricate patterns, these handmade bracelets were exchanged between friends as tokens of their bond. Unlike mass-produced jewelry, each friendship bracelet was unique, often crafted with care and creativity, making them highly personal and meaningful. These bracelets became especially popular among teens and preteens, who would spend hours crafting them by hand, using simple materials like embroidery floss. The process of making them became almost as important as wearing them, with kids exchanging different patterns and techniques. You could find friendship bracelets in a wide range of designs, from simple stripes to more complex chevrons and diamonds. Entire books and magazines were published on how to create the most intricate patterns, and many kids took pride in perfecting their craft. Friendship bracelets weren't sold in stores. This was a fad driven by DIY culture. They represented more than just fashion. They symbolized lasting bonds, making them popular at summer camps, schools, and sleepovers. The practice of trading them strengthened social ties, with some friends stacking multiple bracelets on their wrists as a display of their friendships. This simple trend became a defining feature of 1980s youth culture, leaving a colorful mark on anyone who participated. Scrunchies. In the world of 1980s hair accessories, scrunchies reigned supreme. These fabric-covered elastic hair ties were not only functional, but also fashionable, becoming a must-have item for anyone looking to keep their hair stylishly out of the way. What made scrunchies so popular was their versatility. You could find them in all kinds of colors, patterns, and materials, from satin and velvet to neon fabrics that perfectly matched the bold aesthetics of the decade. Scrunchies weren't just for keeping your hair up at the gym. They became an essential part of casual, everyday looks. Whether worn in a high ponytail, a side ponytail, a look that defined the 80s, or even just around the wrist as an accessory, scrunchies were everywhere. You could find them in stores like Claire's, drugstores, and even department stores, and they were often sold in multi-packs, allowing you to mix and match depending on your outfit. Part of their appeal was their gentleness on hair compared to traditional elastics, which could pull and damage. Scrunchies, with their soft fabric, offered a kinder alternative while still being trendy. Celebrities, including pop stars like Madonna and TV characters from shows like Saved by the Bell, helped elevate scrunchies to an iconic status, cementing their place as a defining accessory of the era. Mood rings. In the 1980s, mood rings were a fascinating mix of fashion and fun, tapping into the decade's obsession with self-expression. These rings weren't just accessories, they were supposed to reveal your emotional state, changing color based on your body temperature. The science behind it was simple. The liquid crystals inside the stone would shift in response to heat, displaying a spectrum of colors that supposedly reflected different moods. Blue for calm, black for stress, green for relaxation. Every color had a meaning, and kids loved trying to interpret what the ring said about them. Mood rings were found everywhere, from mall kiosks to local jewelry stores, and became especially popular among preteens and teenagers who enjoyed the idea of wearing something that could reveal a hidden side of themselves. The rings were usually set in simple metal bands, with the stone being the centerpiece, often featuring vibrant colors that would shift throughout the day. Though the accuracy of the mood readings was questionable at best, that didn't stop the rings from becoming a fad that tapped into the 80s fascination with personality and identity. They were affordable, easy to wear, and came with an air of mystique that made them an instant hit. Whether or not they truly reflected your mood rings provided a bit of playful fun, turning something as simple as body heat into a personal experience. Acid wash jeans. Few fashion trends from the 1980s stand out quite like acid wash jeans. With their distinctive bleached out look, these jeans became a wardrobe staple for anyone trying to capture that edgy, rebellious vibe. Originally created by soaking denim in chlorine and pumice stones, the result was a marbled, faded appearance that quickly became a hit among teens and young adults. The jeans often featured high waists and baggy legs, fitting perfectly into the oversized, bold fashion of the decade. Acid wash jeans weren't just for casual wear, they were seen everywhere, from school hallways to MTV music videos, and even on stage at rock concerts. Bands like Bon Jovi and Def Leppard helped popularize the look, making it synonymous with the glam rock and heavy metal scenes of the time. Brands like Levi's and Guess capitalized on the trend, offering acid wash versions of their most popular denim styles, including jackets and skirts to complete the look. What many might not realize is that the process to create acid wash jeans was originally developed in Italy by a company called Rifle Jeans. However, it was the 80s fashion scene in the US that truly took the trend to new heights. Pair them with a band tee or a leather jacket, and you had the quintessential 80s outfit. While the fad eventually faded out in the early 90s, acid wash denim left a lasting mark on the fashion landscape, forever linked to the rebellious spirit of the 80s. Zubba's pants. In the late 1980s, if you were looking for comfort and bold style, Zubba's pants were the ultimate choice. These loose-fitting zebra-striped pants became synonymous with the fitness and bodybuilding culture that exploded during the decade. Originally designed by two Minnesota bodybuilders, Zubba's pants were created with athletes in mind, offering a comfortable, flexible alternative to tight-fitting workout gear. But what started as functional gym wear quickly turned into a fashion statement. Zubba's pants were instantly recognizable for their wild, over-the-top patterns, most notably their signature zebra stripes in loud neon colors. They were sold at sporting goods stores and fitness outlets, and soon made their way to mall clothing stores, appealing to a wider audience. Athletes, weightlifters, and even professional wrestlers embraced the trend, making the pants a common sight in gyms and sports arenas across the country. The NFL also got in on the trend, with Zubba's producing pants featuring team logos, solidifying their status as part of sports culture. Despite their somewhat outrageous appearance, the comfort and ease of movement Zubba's provided helped them gain a cult following. The pants became a go-to for anyone looking to stand out while staying comfortable. While they eventually fell out of mainstream fashion, Zubba's pants remain an iconic symbol of late 80s and early 90s workout culture, remembered for their unique mix of practicality and extreme style. Rubiks Cube. The Rubiks Cube wasn't just a toy in the 1980s, it became a worldwide obsession. Invented by Hungarian professor Erno Rubik in 1974, it wasn't until the early 1980s that the cube hit American toy stores and exploded into a full-blown craze. With its simple yet maddening design, the Rubiks Cube challenged kids and adults alike to solve its colorful, twisting puzzle. The goal was straightforward: align all 6 sides so that each face is a single color. But what seemed simple at first quickly turned into one of the most frustrating challenges of the decade. The cube could be found everywhere, from classrooms to coffee tables, and there were even competitions to see who could solve it the fastest. Toy stores like Toys R Us and KB Toys couldn't keep them on shelves as the puzzle became one of the best-selling toys of the decade. For those who found the challenge too tough, books and guides offering how to solve tips became almost as popular as the cube itself. What many might not realize is that the Rubiks Cube sparked the beginning of the speed cubing community. People began timing their solutions, creating a subculture of competitors racing to solve the cube in record time. To this day, the Rubiks Cube remains one of the most iconic toys ever created, a symbol of 1980s ingenuity and fun. Roller disco. The roller disco craze was one of the most iconic and energetic trends of the late 1970s and early 1980s. Combining two of the biggest pastimes, roller skating skating and disco music. Roller discos became a cultural phenomenon where people glided around in rhythms to pulsating beats, flashing lights, and mirror balls. From local roller rinks to urban skating hotspots, the fad drew in everyone from teens to adults looking to have fun and show off their skating skills. Roller discos were more than just places to skate. They were social hubs where people could meet friends, dance, and compete in skating contests. Famous venues like Flipper's Roller Boogie Palace in Los Angeles and the Roxy in New York became synonymous with the trend, and soon, roller rinks across the US were packed with people looking to embrace the disco era. Even movies like Roller Boogie, 1979, helped catapult the trend into the mainstream. Beyond just recreation, roller discos were a fashion statement too. Skaters would often dress in flashy outfits, complete with knee-high socks, glitter, and headbands, embodying the flashy, carefree spirit of the time. The smooth flow of skating combined with the energy of disco music made for an unforgettable experience that encapsulated the essence of early 1980s fun and flair. Walkman. The Sony Walkman wasn't just a device, it was a revolution in how people listened to music. Introduced in 1979 and exploding in popularity throughout the 1980s, the Walkman made it possible to take your music on the go for the first time. Compact, portable, and powered by AA batteries, it allowed people to listen to cassette tapes anywhere, whether jogging, on the bus, or just walking around the neighborhood. It was the epitome of personal freedom in an era where music was typically confined to bulky stereos. The Walkman became a cultural icon, especially among teens and young adults who loved curating mixtapes to suit their moods. You could find Walkmans everywhere, from electronic stores like Radio Shack to department stores. Owning one meant you were part of the modern world, and having the right tapes or mixtapes was just as important as having the device itself. Music genres like new wave, pop, and rock filled the tapes of Walkman users, with artists like Madonna, Prince, and Michael Jackson being frequent companions in their headphones. Sony's innovative marketing pushed the Walkman to iconic status, and soon it wasn't just a gadget, it was a symbol of the 1980s lifestyle. Whether walking through the mall, riding bikes with friends, or tuning out the world, the Walkman was the soundtrack to a generation, shaping how people experienced music. Teddy Ruxpin. If you grew up in the 1980s, chances are you remember Teddy Ruxpin, the talking teddy bear that captured the hearts of millions of kids. Launched in 1985 by Worlds of Wonder, Teddy Ruxpin was no ordinary stuffed animal. He had the ability to read stories to children, thanks to a built-in cassette player in his back that moved his mouth and eyes in sync with the audio. It was as if your favorite teddy bear had come to life, creating a magical experience that no other toy could offer at the time. Teddy Ruxpin quickly became one of the hottest toys of the decade, and by the 1985 holiday season, he was at the top of every kid's wish list. You could find him on the shelves of toy stores like Toys R Us, but parents often struggled to get their hands on one due to high demand. Along with a variety of cassette tapes and storybooks that brought Teddy's adventures to life, the bear became a multimedia sensation, even spawning an animated TV series in 1987. What made Teddy Ruxpin truly special was the way he blended storytelling with technology, making it feel like you were sharing a personal moment with a friend. His impact on 1980s pop culture was immense, and while the technology may seem simple by today's standards, for a generation of kids, Teddy Ruxpin was pure magic. Pogo Ball. The Pogo Ball was one of the more unusual yet memorable toys of the 1980s. It was a simple concept, a rubber ball sandwiched between a sturdy plastic disc where you would place your feet using balance and bouncing to hop around. Created by Hasbro in the mid-1980s, it quickly became a playground sensation as kids embraced the challenge of mastering the toy. With a bit of practice, you could bounce around like a pro, showing off tricks and competing with friends to see who could stay on the longest without falling. The Pogo Ball came in bright neon colors, reflecting the bold aesthetics of the decade. You could find them at toy stores like Toys R Us and in department stores, often displayed with kids hopping around in advertisements. Part of its appeal was the combination of physical activity and fun. It wasn't just a toy, it was a challenge. However, mastering the Pogo Ball wasn't easy. Kids who weren't quick to get the hang of it would often wobble or fall, leading to some scraped knees and frustration. As other toys and trends gained popularity, the Pogo Ball slowly faded into obscurity, but for a time, it was a must-have toy that had kids bouncing around their backyards and neighborhoods. Shrinky Dinks. Shrinky Dinks were one of the most creative and engaging craft fads of the 1980s. Introduced in the late 1970s, these sheets of polystyrene plastic allowed kids to create their own designs, which would then shrink down in size when heated in the oven. By the 1980s, Shrinky Dinks had become a staple of DIY craft kits, letting kids turn their artwork into miniature charms, keychains, jewelry, and decorations. The appeal was in the transformation, the magic of watching your creation shrink and harden into something small, solid, and permanent. Shrinky Dinks came in a variety of themed sets, from cartoon characters to holiday designs, and were sold in toy and craft stores nationwide. All you needed were some markers, colored pencils, and a bit of imagination to bring your designs to life. After decorating the plastic sheets, they were placed in the oven, where they would shrink down to a fraction of their original size in just a few minutes. The result was a durable, colorful piece of art that kids could show off or use to decorate their rooms. While Shrinky Dinks may seem simple by today's craft standards, they were a huge hit in the 1980s, providing hours of fun for kids who loved making personalized creations. Their popularity waned as the decade progressed, but the unique charm of Shrinky Dinks remains a nostalgic reminder of a time when simple crafts could feel magical. Viewmaster. Although originally invented in the 1930s, the Viewmaster became a massive hit with kids during the 1980s, thanks to its reinvention as an essential toy for immersive storytelling. The iconic red Viewmaster viewer, with its round reels of tiny slides, allowed kids to experience 3D images from popular movies, TV shows, and even nature scenes. Each reel contained a set of images that, when viewed through the lenses, transported kids into a mini virtual world, long before virtual reality was even imagined. In the 1980s, Viewmaster reels featured popular characters like He-Man, Barbie, and Mickey Mouse, making the device an essential part of playtime. Kids would eagerly collect reels that told stories or showcased their favorite shows, and swapping reels with friends was a fun way to experience different adventures. Viewmaster wasn't just for entertainment. Educational reels showing animals, historical landmarks, and outer space were also popular, blending fun with learning. You could find Viewmasters and their reels in toy stores, department stores, and even in gift shops at national parks. Its simple but fascinating design captured the imaginations of kids everywhere, making it one of the most cherished toys of the 80s. Though other technologies eventually overshadowed it, the Viewmaster remains a nostalgic piece of childhood for those who grew up in that decade. The Clapper. The Clapper was one of the quirkiest yet memorable gadgets of the 1980s, known for its catchy jingle, "Clap on, clap off." This sound-activated device allowed people to control their lights or appliances simply by clapping their hands. Released in 1984, the Clapper became an instant hit, especially among those looking for convenience or just a little fun with their home electronics. It was particularly appealing for people who wanted to turn off their lights without getting out of bed. You could find the Clapper in electronic stores and late-night TV infomercials, where its simplicity and ease of use were heavily marketed. The commercials became iconic, showing someone clapping twice to turn off a lamp or activate a TV, creating a sense of futuristic control over the home. While the technology may seem basic by today's standards, at the time, it felt like a leap toward home automation. The Clapper wasn't without its quirks. Sometimes loud noises or random sounds could trigger it unintentionally, but that didn't stop it from becoming a household name. Its affordability and novelty made it a popular gift item throughout the decade, and while more advanced technology has since surpassed it, the Clapper remains a nostalgic reminder of the 80s fascination with convenience and quirky inventions. The 1980s were more than just a time. They were a collection of memories that shaped who we are today. The sound of a Walkman playing your favorite mixtape, the thrill of roller discos, and the joy of sharing a game of Pogo Ball with friends. It was an era of carefree laughter, neon colors, and moments that seemed to last forever. Do you ever wish you could go back to those simpler days? If these memories warmed your heart, join us on this journey through time. Subscribe and let's keep the spirit. 80s TV created moments we'll never forget. Knight Rider, Alf, and the A-Team kept us glued to the screen, but what about the shows that quietly disappeared from our memory? In this video, we're rediscovering 20 forgotten 1980s TV shows that shaped our childhood. These shows played a huge role in our childhoods, even if no one talks about them anymore. Stick around, because rediscovering them will bring back those moments that shaped who you are today, the greatest American hero.
But when they're in trouble, who do they call?
The greatest American hero.
That's right.
Among the big names in 80s TV, there were shows that didn't stick around as long but left their mark in a different way. One of those gems was The Greatest American Hero. Ralph Hinckley, a regular high school teacher, was given an alien superhero suit with powers beyond imagination, but there was one major problem: he lost the instructions. That was the magic of the show. We got to watch Ralph hilariously stumble through flying mishaps and awkward attempts at saving the day, making him one of the most relatable heroes ever. The charm wasn't just in the comedy, it was in the message that being a hero isn't about perfection, it's about trying, no matter how clumsy or flawed. And let's not forget the theme song, Believe It or Not, which became an anthem of the time and is probably still playing in your head right now. Though the show ended after 3 seasons due to declining ratings, it left a lasting impact on those who watched it. Did you know there was an attempt to reboot the series in the 2000s? While it never took off, the original remains a quirky yet unforgettable part of 80s TV history. Misfits of Science.
Billy at the wheel, they're out to save the world and have a blast. The Misfits of Science, Fridays this fall.
If you loved quirky science fiction with a sense of humor, then Misfits of Science was the show for you. It followed a team of outcasts with strange powers. Think of it as the 80s version of today's superhero teams, but with a lot more laughs. There was Johnny, who could generate electricity, and Gloria, who had telekinetic powers. Together they made the perfect team of misfits trying to save the world, one bizarre adventure at a time. What made this show memorable wasn't just the action, but the chemistry between the characters and the way it embraced its weirdness. It was unapologetically fun, never taking itself too seriously, which is probably why it gained a cult following despite only lasting 1 season. And here's something you might not know: Courtney Cox, before her Friends fame, was one of the stars of the show. Sadly, Misfits of Science was canceled due to low ratings, but it remains a hidden treasure of 80s TV for those who remember it. It was the kind of show that made you wish you had strange powers and could join the fun. Sometimes it's the shows that don't take themselves too seriously that leave the biggest impact. Small wonder. Now, let's talk about a show that had every kid wishing for a robot sibling, Small Wonder. The premise was both bizarre and fascinating. A robotics engineer builds a lifelike robot, Vicky, who looks like a human child and tries to pass her off as his daughter. The catch? She's programmed to learn, but with a very monotone, robotic delivery, which led to all kinds of hilarious misunderstandings. Small Wonder wasn't just a quirky sitcom, it was a show that captured the imagination of kids in the 80s. What if you could have a robot who could do all your chores, help you cheat at school, or even freeze time? Vicky's abilities and the strange situations she found herself in made every episode a unique adventure. The show tapped into the fascination with robots that was everywhere in the 80s, but it also gave us a sense of heart as Vicky tried to navigate life like a real girl. Despite some criticism for its campy acting, Small Wonder lasted 4 seasons, longer than many of its contemporaries, and for those who watched it, the image of Vicky in her signature red dress is burned into memory. It's one of those shows that, if you mention it today, immediately sparks nostalgic conversations. Out of This World. Imagine being a teenager who can stop time with just the touch of your fingers. That's the fantasy Out of This World delivered to kids in the 80s. Evie Garland wasn't just any teen. She was half human, half alien, and inherited some pretty cool powers from her extraterrestrial dad, including the ability to freeze time, communicate with her dad via a crystal, and teleport objects. What more could a kid dream of? This show tapped into every teen's fantasy of having secret powers while trying to navigate the awkwardness of adolescence. It wasn't just about the sci-fi elements, it was about growing up and figuring out how to use the abilities you've been given. Evie's powers often led to funny and sometimes touching moments as she tried to balance her normal life with her extraordinary abilities. Out of This World lasted 4 seasons, and while it wasn't as mainstream as some other shows of the time, it certainly made an impact on those who watched, who didn't wish they could stop time and escape awkward moments. The show ended with an unresolved cliffhanger, which left fans wondering what happened next, but for those who grew up watching it, Evie and her powers will never be forgotten. Riptide. If you were a fan of crime solving with a tech twist, then Riptide was one of those hidden gems that kept you coming back for more. This show had everything: detectives, a cool boat, high-tech gadgets, and even a quirky robot named Roboz. It followed 3 private investigators, Cody, Nick, and Murray, who ran their detective business out of a boat, solving cases using not just street smarts, but also the latest in 80s tech, which felt futuristic at the time. Riptide stood out because it combined the action-packed detective genre with the fun of high-tech gadgets, from helicopters to robos, who added a dose of humor to the show. And let's be honest, what kid or teenager in the 80s didn't love the idea of having their own robot sidekick to help them solve mysteries? Though it never quite reached the same level of fame as other detective shows like Magnum, PI, Riptide lasted 3 solid seasons and left a lasting impression on its loyal fans. The blend of action, technology, and humor was a recipe that felt unique at the time. It's one of those shows that, when mentioned today, instantly brings back memories of adventure-filled afternoons in front of the TV. The powers of Matthew Starr. What could it be cooler as a teenager than discovering you're actually an alien prince with telekinetic powers? That was the hook of The Powers of Matthew Starr, a show that blended high school drama with out-of-this-world sci-fi. Matthew Starr was no ordinary teen. He was a prince from another planet hiding on Earth, trying to blend in while secretly using his abilities to protect himself from alien enemies. The show had an irresistible mix of teenage wish fulfillment and action-packed adventure. Imagine dealing with high school bullies one minute and fighting off intergalactic threats the next. Matthew's powers, especially his telekinesis, made him the ultimate fantasy hero for kids watching at the time. He was learning how to control his abilities, all while trying to lead a normal life, something every teenager could relate to, superpowers or not. Despite the cool concept, the show struggled with ratings and only lasted 1 season. It didn't help that one of the stars, Louis Gossett Jr., was injured on set, which led to production delays. Still, for fans who remember it, The Powers of Matthew Starr remains a hidden gem of 80s television, combining high school angst with the allure of secret powers. Ottoman. Imagine living in a world where your computer could create the perfect superhero sidekick. That's exactly what Ottoman gave us, a high-tech fantasy come to life. The show followed Walter Nebuchar, a police officer and computer whiz who created a holographic crime fighter, Ottoman. Ottoman wasn't just any hologram. He could interact with the real world, create vehicles out of thin air, and had incredible strength, making him the ultimate partner in fighting crimes. The show's futuristic concept was a dream for anyone who loved technology and superheroes. Ottoman could turn into a glowing car, plane, or helicopter at will, often leaving Walter scrambling to keep up. For kids in the 80s, this was the epitome of cool, technology that felt years ahead of its time. And let's not forget Cursor, Ottoman's glowing sidekick that added a touch of charm and humor to every episode. Despite its innovative special effects, Ottoman only lasted 1 season, mainly due to high production costs. The show's flashy visuals were groundbreaking, but they were also too expensive to maintain for television at the time. Even so, Ottoman remains one of those shows that, for those who watched, left a lasting impression of what the future could look like. Manimal.
Manimal.
In the 80s, the idea of a man who could transform into any animal felt like pure magic, and that's exactly what Manimal delivered. The show followed Dr. Jonathan Chase, a wealthy crime fighter with the unique ability to morph into various animals to help solve crimes. Whether he was transforming into a hawk to scout the area or a panther to chase down criminals, each episode brought a thrilling new adventure. Manimal was ahead of its time, using special effects to show Chase's transformations, which for the 80s were mind-blowing. The concept of a man using animal instincts to fight crime captured the imagination of kids and teens alike. Who didn't want to be able to change into a powerful animal at will? The show balanced action with a bit of mystery, keeping viewers guessing which animal Chase would turn into next. Though it only lasted 8 episodes, Manimal became a cult favorite, remembered for its unique premise and groundbreaking special effects. The show's cancellation was mainly due to low ratings, but it's still fondly recalled as one of the most ambitious and imaginative TV experiments of the 80s. Even today, its name sparks curiosity and nostalgia for those who grew up watching it. The Highwaymen. If you loved futuristic crime fighting mixed with a bit of the Wild West, The Highwayman was your dream show. Set in a near-future America, the show followed a mysterious figure known only as the Highwayman, who drove a high-tech weaponized truck while chasing down criminals across the country. Think of it as Mad Max meets Knight Rider, with a giant truck that could transform into a helicopter. What made this show so cool was the sheer sense of adventure and the unique mix of sci-fi with a rugged lone wolf hero. The Highwayman's truck was the star of the show, packed with gadgets and tricks that could get him out of any situation. For kids and teens who loved action, this show was a playground of imagination. What could be better than a truck that could fly? Unfortunately, The Highwayman didn't last long, just 9 episodes. Despite its ambitious concept and cool tech, the show struggled to find an audience and was canceled. But for those who watched, it was one of those rare gems that offered a glimpse into what the future of adventure TV could look like. It remains a forgotten treasure, with fans still reminiscing about that iconic truck. Voyagers.
Nobody knows women. Dogs.
So jump in on the action, adventure, and fun.
If you ever dreamed of traveling through time, then Voyagers was the ultimate wish fulfillment. This adventure-packed show followed a time traveler named Phineas Bogg and his young sidekick Jeffrey Jones as they journeyed through different historical periods, fixing events that had gone wrong. Equipped with a special device called the Omni, which looked like a pocket watch, they could leap from ancient Egypt to the Wild West in a matter of seconds. What made Voyagers so fun was its blend of historical education with thrilling adventures. Every episode had Bogg and Jeffrey navigating through famous events in history, often encountering legendary figures like Thomas Edison or Cleopatra. For kids, it was like getting a crash course in history with the excitement of a time-traveling adventure. And let's be honest, who didn't fantasize about hopping through time and meeting historical icons face to face? Sadly, Voyagers only lasted 1 season, despite its creative premise and dedicated fan base. One of the reasons for its cancellation was the expensive production costs of recreating different historical periods every week. But even with its short run, the show left a lasting impression. It remains a hidden gem for those who loved history mixed with a dash of fantasy, and for many it was their introduction to the idea of time travel in television. The Phoenix.
For mankind, the Phoenix. For 1,000 years.
In the 80s, the idea of a man from another planet awakening on Earth with incredible powers captured the imagination of kids and teens alike, and that's exactly what the Phoenix delivered. The show followed Bennu of the Golden Light, an ancient alien who had been sleeping on Earth for centuries, only to awaken in modern times. Bennu, portrayed by Judson Scott, had extraordinary abilities like telepathy, telekinesis, and the power to heal. His mission, to find his long-lost companion Mira, while also helping humanity in the process. What made the Phoenix so captivating was its mix of mysticism, science fiction, and adventure. Bennu's gentle nature and wisdom made him an unusual hero. He wasn't about fighting, but rather about solving problems with his intellect and powers. His connection to ancient wisdom and extraterrestrial origins gave the show a deeper, almost spiritual tone. It was a show that made you think, while still delivering the excitement of an alien on Earth. Sadly, the Phoenix was short-lived, only airing 5 episodes before being canceled due to low ratings. Despite its brief run, it earned a cult following thanks to its unique premise and thoughtful storytelling. Fans of the show still remember it as a hidden treasure, one that brought something truly different to the landscape of 80s television. Jace and the Wield Warriors.
For his father to unite the magic root and lead his Lightning League to victory.
For those who grew up with a love for epic battles between good and evil, Jace and the Wield Warriors was a thrilling animated adventure that hit all the right notes. The show followed Jace, a young hero on a mission to reunite with his father and defeat the evil Saw Boss and his army of sentient plant vehicles known as the Monster Mines. With the help of his loyal team and their transforming vehicles, Jace journeyed across the galaxy, battling these villains at every turn. The magic of Jace and the Wield Warriors was in its imaginative world building and exciting action sequences. The vehicles, which could transform and fight on both land and air, were a dream for any kid who loved cars and robots. Each episode was packed with fast-paced chases, daring rescues, and inventive strategies to outsmart the monster mines. The show was also filled with underlying themes of family and perseverance, as Jace's quest to find his father kept the emotional stakes high. Despite its popularity, Jace and the Wield Warriors never got the proper ending it deserved, as the series was cancelled before the storyline could be resolved. Still, it remains a beloved memory for those who tuned in, and its mix of action, heart, and sci-fi adventure has cemented it as a cult classic of 80s animated TV. Mask, Mobile Armored Strike Command. For kids in the 80s, Mask was the perfect blend of everything they loved: cool vehicles, secret missions, and epic battles between good and evil. The show followed Matt Traker and his team, known as Mask, who fought against the criminal organization Venom. What made this show stand out? The vehicles. Each one had the ability to transform into battle-ready machines, like motorcycles that turned into helicopters or cars that became submarines. And let's not forget the masks each character wore, giving them special abilities in combat. The combination of high-octane action and imaginative technology made Mask an instant hit with kids. It was like watching the best parts of a spy thriller, superhero show, and racing competition all rolled into one. Every episode brought a new mission, with Tracker and his team using their advanced tech and vehicles to stop Venom's latest evil plan. The fast-paced action and transformations kept viewers glued to the screen, and for many it sparked endless hours of play with the Mask toy lines. Despite its popularity, Mask eventually faded after 2 seasons. However, it left a lasting legacy. The innovative concept of vehicles and secret tech still resonates with fans today, and it remains one of the most iconic action cartoons of the 80s. Turbo Teen.
Saturdays this fall, who's the fastest teenager in town? Turbo Teen.
Imagine turning into a sports car whenever you got too hot. Sounds strange, right? Well, that's exactly what happened to Brett Matthews, the teen hero of Turbo Teen. After a freak accident involving a high-tech government experiment, Brett gained the ability to transform into a red sports car whenever his body temperature rose. Whether he liked it or not, he could shift between human and car form, often finding himself in wild chases or racing to stop the bad guys. For kids in the 80s, Turbo Teen was the ultimate fantasy. What could be cooler than turning into a sleek, fast car to escape danger or race around with your friends? The show's combination of action, humor, and bizarre transformation sequences kept viewers entertained, even if the concept was, well, a little far-fetched. Every episode saw Brett and his friends trying to control his transformations while stopping criminals or solving mysteries. Despite its fun premise, Turbo Teen didn't last long, only running for 13 episodes. While short-lived, it became a cult favorite, especially for those who loved the idea of blending human abilities with cool, car-centric action. The show may have been brief, but it's one of those quirky 80s gems that left a lasting impression on those who watched it. Tales of the Gold Monkey. If you love the adventure and excitement of movies like Indiana Jones, then Tales of the Gold Monkey was a must-watch. Set in the late 1930s in the South Pacific, the show followed Jake Cutter, a former Flying Tigers pilot who ran a seaplane charter business, often getting caught up in dangerous missions involving treasure hunts, spies, and mysterious artifacts. With his loyal dog Jack, his one-eyed mechanic Corky, and the mysterious lounge singer Sarah, Jake's adventures took him to exotic islands and put him up against everything from Nazis to supernatural forces. The show captured the imagination of kids and teens with its blend of adventure, humor, and high-stakes action. Every episode felt like stepping into a new world full of danger and excitement, where Jake's trusty plane, the Grumman Goose, would swoop in to save the day. The lush tropical settings and fast-paced storylines made Tales of the Gold Monkey feel like an epic adventure every week. Though it only lasted 1 season, the show became a cult classic, fondly remembered for its thrilling plots and likable characters. It was one of those shows that made you want to grab your toy plane and head off on your own treasure hunting mission. Even today, fans remember it as one of the best adventure series of the 80s. The Edison Twins. For fans of science, problem solving, and good old-fashioned adventures, the Edison Twins was a perfect blend of entertainment and education. The show followed teenage twins Tom and Annie Edison, along with their younger brother Paul, as they used their scientific knowledge to solve everyday problems and mysteries. The series was unique because after each episode, they would explain the science behind their solutions, turning the show into a fun learning experience for young viewers. What made the Edison Twins memorable wasn't just the clever mysteries the twins unraveled, but also the way it encouraged kids to think critically and apply science to real-life situations. Whether they were solving puzzles involving chemistry, physics, or technology, the show made science cool and its relatable characters were easy for young viewers to connect with. The upbeat theme song also made it instantly recognizable to anyone who grew up watching it. The series ran for 6 seasons, a rare feat for a kids show in the 80s. While it never reached the iconic status of other 80s hits, it holds a special place in the hearts of those who tuned in every week, fascinated by the clever mix of science and adventure. The Edison Twins remains one of those shows that subtly shaped a generation of curious young minds. Sector's Warriors of Symbian.
These are the Sectors, the Warriors of Symbian.
For kids who were fascinated by action-packed fantasy worlds, Sector's Warriors of Symbian offered a thrilling mix of epic battles and insect-inspired adventure. Set on the planet Symbian, where genetic experiments had gone wrong, humans had evolved to bond with giant mutant insects. The show followed Prince Dargon and his band of warriors as they fought against the evil General Spidrax and his army. Each warrior had a loyal insect steed, which could fly, fight, and communicate telepathically with its rider. What made Sectors stand out was its combination of science fiction and fantasy. The insect-themed creatures and battles were unlike anything else on TV at the time, and for fans of action figures, the toys that came with the show were a huge hit. The series was dark, intense, and full of larger-than-life battles, making it a favorite among kids who loved dramatic, high-stakes action. Dedicated fan base, Sectors only lasted 1 season with just 5 episodes airing, but it made a lasting impression on those who watched. The show's mix of mutant creatures, telepathic bonds, and thrilling combat scenes kept fans hooked, and its action-packed adventures still bring back vivid memories for those who grew up in the 80s. Kids Incorporated.
On the next Kids Incorporated, the band meets Mubala, a visitor from a faraway land.
For many kids growing up in the 80s, Kids Incorporated was a perfect blend of music, friendship, and teenage drama. The show followed a group of talented kids who performed in a band while dealing with the ups and downs of growing up. Each episode featured performances of popular songs from the time, giving it a music video vibe mixed with relatable teenage storylines. Whether they were tackling everyday issues like friendship and school or singing their hearts out on stage, the show had a charm that made it a favorite for kids and teens alike. What made Kids Incorporated truly special was its focus on music. The cast, which included future stars like Fergie, then Stacey Ferguson, and Jennifer Love Hewitt, would perform cover versions of popular hits from the 80s, giving kids a reason to tune in every week. The upbeat, positive atmosphere of the show, combined with catchy music, made it a feel-good experience that was hard to resist. The show ran for nearly a decade, an impressive feat for any children's series, and became a pop culture staple. For those who remember it, Kids Incorporated was more than just a TV show. It was a celebration of music and the excitement of growing up. Danger Bay. For kids and teens who loved a mix of adventure and environmental awareness, Danger Bay was a standout show in the 80s. Set in the stunning landscapes of Vancouver, the show followed Dr. Grant Doc Roberts, a marine biologist who worked at the Vancouver Aquarium, alongside his 2 children, Nicole and Jonah, and their adventures involving wildlife rescue, ecological threats, and solving environmental crimes. Danger Bay tackled important issues while keeping viewers entertained with exciting storylines. What made Danger Bay unique was its focus on conservation and wildlife preservation, something not commonly seen in children's programming at the time. Each episode presented an adventure rooted in nature, whether it was rescuing endangered species, combating poachers, or solving environmental mysteries. For kids fascinated by animals and the environment, Danger Bay was an educational yet thrilling escape. The show ran for 6 seasons, making it one of the longer-running series in the 80s, and it became a favorite for families looking for wholesome, nature-focused entertainment. While it didn't have the flashy action of some other 80s shows, its heart was in the right place, and it left a lasting impact on viewers who learned to care a little more about the world around them. Space Academy.
Space Academy, founded in the star year 3732.
For For kids fascinated by space exploration and science fiction, Space Academy was a thrilling dive into the cosmos. Set in the year 3732, the show followed a group of young cadets at Space Academy, a futuristic school designed to train the next generation of space explorers. Under the guidance of Commander Gompu, these cadets, each with unique talents like telepathy and super strength, went on various missions to explore space and protect the galaxy from various threats. What made Space Academy stand out was its mix of futuristic gadgets, alien encounters, and moral lessons. Each episode felt like an adventure into the unknown, with the cadets often learning valuable lessons about teamwork, courage, and responsibility. For kids and teens who were already captivated by the real-life space race, Space Academy offered a glimpse into a future where they could imagine themselves piloting spaceships and exploring distant planets. Though the show only ran for one season, its imaginative set design, space-themed adventures, and diverse group of cadets made it memorable. For those who watched it, Space Academy was more than just a sci-fi show. It was an inspiring vision of what the future might hold for young adventurers eager to explore the stars. We've just relived some of the most unforgettable yet often overlooked TV shows from our childhood: The Greatest American Hero, Misfits of Science, Small Wonder, and more. These shows didn't just entertain us, they shaped our imagination, sparked our dreams, and became a part of who we are. Though many of them have faded from memory, the impact they had still lingers. So which of these hidden gems do you remember most fondly? And if you could bring just one back, which would it be? Share your thoughts, and let's keep the magic of these 80s classics alive together. Do you remember the snacks that made the 80s unforgettable? In this video, we're diving into 20 classic snacks of the 1980s. From gooey chocolate bars to quirky lunchbox treats. These are the flavors that defined a generation. Stick around, because you might just discover a few you forgot until now. Big League Chew.
Big League Bubble.
You're into Big League Chew.
Big League Chew was more than just gum. It was a moment of feeling like a pro ball player for any kid in the 80s. Packed in its iconic pouch, Big League Chew wasn't your average stick or chunk of gum. It was shredded, almost like chewing tobacco, a nod to its baseball origins. For a lot of kids, tearing into that pouch and pulling out a bunch of shredded gum was the closest thing to stepping onto a major league field. The taste was unforgettable, with flavors like classic bubble gum and grape. Just one handful could fill your mouth with a burst of sweetness, and that texture was perfect for blowing those giant sticky bubbles that would sometimes stick to your face or get you in trouble if you were in class. There was something satisfying about digging into a pouch and grabbing as much or as little as you wanted, like a snack that gave you a bit of freedom. The idea for Big League Chew came from two baseball players who wanted to create a fun, safer alternative to chewing tobacco. The result was a gum that felt like it had an edge and became a favorite on playgrounds and baseball fields alike. Big League Chew may still be around, but for many of us, it brings back memories of scraped knees, summer afternoons, and that thrill of feeling like a big leaguer, even just for a moment. JellO Pudding Pops.
New JellO Pudding Pop! New JellO Pudding Pop!
Do you remember the joy of grabbing a JellO Pudding Pop from the freezer on a hot day? These creamy, cool treats were the ultimate summer indulgence in the 80s. Blending the rich flavors of chocolate and vanilla in a unique frozen pudding texture. Each pop came wrapped in bright packaging, almost calling out to be chosen as the perfect snack after a long day of playing outside. Unlike any other frozen dessert at the time, JellO Pudding Pops had a smooth, almost custard-like consistency that was irresistibly satisfying. The flavors were simple, but that was all they needed. Chocolate for those who wanted something rich, vanilla for the purists, and even a swirl option for the best of both worlds. There was something about that creamy texture that made each bite melt perfectly, and no one cared if they ended up with pudding smudged around their mouths. Fun fact, JellO Pudding Pops became iconic partly thanks to commercials starring a famous comedian whose playful energy made these treats seem like a ticket to fun. Created as a way to bring JellO pudding to a frozen form, Pudding Pops quickly became a hit in school cafeterias, picnics, and backyards, where kids savored them with sticky fingers and happy smiles. Fruit Wrinkles.
Fruit Wrinkles, from the makers of Fruit Roll-Ups and Fruit Bars.
Fruit Wrinkles were like little treasure bites for kids in the 80s. Unlike the fruit snacks we see today, these chewy treats actually looked wrinkled, which gave them a homemade, almost quirky appeal. Shaped like tiny shrunken pieces of real fruit, Fruit Wrinkles came in flavors like strawberry, cherry, and grape, delivering a pop of sweetness that was both satisfying and fun. Each piece had a sticky texture that practically glued to your fingers, making it impossible to just grab one. These snacks were a lunchtime favorite, often tucked into lunchboxes as a little reward. For parents, Fruit Wrinkles had the appeal of being marketed as real fruit, so there was a bit of healthy credibility that made them feel good about adding them to a kid's snack stash. For kids though, they were just irresistibly fun and flavorful. Did you know? Fruit Wrinkles were created by General Mills, the same people behind Fruit Roll-Ups, as an attempt to expand their line of fruit snacks. While Fruit Roll-Ups became a classic, Fruit Wrinkles quietly disappeared in the early 90s, leaving fans with nothing but memories of their unique sticky sweetness. Hubba Bubba Bubble Gum.
Bubble gum in town, name a Hubba Bubba. It's soft, juicy, and delicious.
Hubba Bubba wasn't just gum, it was a bubble-blowing experience that every kid in the 80s knew and loved. This wasn't the ordinary gum you'd get from the checkout counter. Hubba Bubba came in thick, rectangular pieces with flavors that practically exploded in your mouth. Original bubblegum flavor was a classic, but the grape and watermelon options were where things got exciting. The texture was perfect for blowing those huge cartoonish bubbles that would sometimes pop and stick all over your face. An 80s rite of passage. Everyone remembers unwrapping a piece and getting that burst of fruity scent, hinting at the juicy flavor waiting inside. The gum was soft, and its sugary taste lasted longer than most other gums at the time, which gave it an edge on the playground. And who could forget the Hubba Bubba commercials? Those wild, colorful ads made every kid want to get their hands on a pack and see how big they could blow their bubbles. Hubba Bubba was the gum that made bubble blowing a competition, with kids daring each other to blow the biggest bubble without making a sticky mess. Planters Cheese Balls.
Regular and new family size.
Now I'm having a ball.
Planters Cheese Balls were the ultimate snack for anyone craving something cheesy and crunchy. Coming in that signature blue canister, Cheese Balls had a kind of magic to them. Just popping the lid brought a whiff of that unmistakable cheesy scent, and you couldn't resist grabbing a handful. The texture was a perfect mix of crispy and light, with each ball practically melting in your mouth as it left your fingers covered in bright orange cheese dust. These weren't your ordinary cheese snacks. There was something about the intense flavor that made them special. They were bolder, cheesier, and somehow more addictive than anything else on the shelf. For a lot of us, opening a can of cheese balls felt like the start of a movie night, a road trip, or just an excuse to indulge a little. A big part of the fun was sharing them with friends, or seeing how many you could fit in your mouth at once. Somehow, they were the perfect snack for any kind of get-together. Though they disappeared for a while, those who remember the original can tell you, nothing else quite hit the spot like Planters Cheese Balls. Dunkaroos.
Dunkaroos, is the cookie yet, John? For as much frosting as you want. So how do you do your Dunkaroos?
Dunkaroos were more than just a snack. They were a whole experience packed into a little plastic container. Opening up a pack meant you were in for a treat. A handful of crunchy mini cookies on one side and a sweet creamy frosting on the other. The best part? You were the boss of how much frosting went on each cookie. Some would dunk just a bit, while others would load up each cookie with as much frosting as possible. There was something about that smooth, sugary frosting that made Dunkaroos feel like dessert disguised as a snack. And let's be honest, the classic vanilla and rainbow sprinkle frosting was a fan favorite, with chocolate close behind. Kids would trade them at school or save them for the last item in their lunchbox, making each bite feel like the ultimate reward. Dunkaroos disappeared from shelves in the early 2000s, leaving many fans heartbroken, but their legacy lives on in the memories of those who remember carefully rationing that precious frosting and savoring every last bit of cookie. Bonkers Candy.
Every time folks eat super fruity bonkers fruit candy, makes a big hit.
Bonkers Candy was one of those snacks that always delivered a surprise. Each piece was a square with a soft, chewy outer layer and an even juicier fruity center that packed a punch of flavor. They came in bright colors and bold flavors like grape, strawberry, and watermelon, making every bite an explosion of sweetness that felt like it could take over your whole mouth. Kids loved Bonkers for the dual-layered texture and intense taste, but the real fun came from the candy's quirky advertising. The commercials were unforgettable, featuring giant pieces of fruit falling from the sky and bonking people on the head. A wacky approach that made the candy seem almost like a cartoon come to life. Bonkers had that perfect balance of being chewy without getting stuck in your teeth, which made it easy to go through a pack in no time. And while they eventually disappeared from store shelves, Bonkers left a lasting impression on anyone who experienced that fun, fruity bonk of flavor. High C Ecto Cooler.
High C Ecto Cooler. Slimer's new fruit drink.
High C Ecto Cooler was more than just a juice box. It was practically a pop culture icon for kids in the 80s. Released as a promotional tie-in for Ghostbusters, Ecto Cooler became famous for its neon green color and its citrusy, tangy flavor that was oddly addictive. Just seeing the bright green drink made it feel like you were drinking something straight out of the Ghostbusters world. The packaging featured Slimer, the mischievous green ghost from the movies, which made it even more exciting. Kids loved feeling like they were sharing a drink with one of their favorite ghostly characters, and that green color, it wasn't just for show. Something about it made Ecto Cooler feel like no other juice box out there. Ecto Cooler stayed on the shelves well past its promotional period because fans just couldn't get enough. It was eventually discontinued, much to the disappointment of kids who grew up with it. But for anyone who remembers, Ecto Cooler was more than just a drink. It was a little slice of childhood that took lunchtime to a whole new level. Whatchamacallit.
Whatchamacallit, the totally different crunchy bar of peanutty tasting crisp drenched in chocolate.
Whatchamacallit was the candy bar with a name as quirky as its taste. Released in the late 70s and popularized throughout the 80s, this bar combined crispy rice, caramel, and a coating of milk chocolate to create a unique, crunchy, chewy treat that stood out from other chocolate bars. The layers made it interesting. First, you'd get that chocolatey outside, then the chewy caramel, and finally the crispy rice that gave it a satisfying crunch with each bite. The fun didn't stop at the taste. Whatchamacallit commercials leaned into the candy's unusual name, playing up the mystery and making it a favorite for kids who loved the sense of novelty. If you didn't know what to call it, Whatchamacallit seemed like the perfect name. It was one of those candy bars that didn't need gimmicks. Its unusual mix of textures and flavors was enough to keep people coming back. Whatchamacallit might not have reached the fame of some other candies, but it carved out a loyal fan base. For anyone who remembers grabbing one from the corner store, it was a candy that always managed to feel like a small adventure. Keebler Magic Middles.
Too late, we just did it. New Keebler Magic Middles. Try one. Wow!
Keebler Magic Middles weren't your average cookies. They were a delightful surprise in every bite. On the outside, they looked like regular shortbread cookies, but biting into one revealed a hidden pocket of creamy chocolate or caramel filling that took these treats to another level. A combination of a crumbly, buttery exterior and a gooey, rich center made Magic Middles unforgettable. These cookies quickly became a hit because they were a little like a dessert within a dessert. Instead of just snacking on a plain cookie, you'd get that satisfying bite of smooth chocolate or caramel in the middle, which made them feel almost like a little indulgent. They were the kind of snack you'd save as the last treat in your lunchbox, savoring each bite. Keebler's Magic Middles felt special, not just because of the filling, but because they were a bit different from the usual cookie options on the shelves. Despite their popularity, they eventually disappeared, leaving fans longing for the unique experience of cracking into a cookie with that hidden sweet center. For anyone who remembers, Magic Middles will always have a place as the ultimate hidden treasure snack. Squeeze It.
Squeeze It fruit drink squeezable characters are so much fun. You'll really get into them.
Squeeze It wasn't just a drink, it was an experience. Packaged in colorful plastic bottles with twist-off tops, Squeeze It made drinking juice fun. Each bottle was designed to be, well, squeezed, making it feel like a hands-on, interactive snack rather than just a regular juice. The bright fruity flavors like cherry, berry, and tropical punch came in colors that looked more like neon highlighter ink than anything found in nature, which back then just added to the excitement. There was something about squeezing that bottle and watching the juice squirt out that felt like a little victory, especially for kids. It was practically a rite of passage to twist off that cap, tilt the bottle back, and squeeze until you got every last drop. Kids would trade flavors in the lunchroom or argue over which one was the best, a debate that often depended on which color looked the coolest. Squeeze It drinks eventually faded from store shelves, but not from memory. For anyone who grew up with them, Squeeze It was more than just juice. It was a symbol of a time when snacks were as much about fun as they were about flavor. Waffle Crisp Cereal.
New Post Waffle Crisp cereal is part of a complete breakfast.
Waffle Crisp was the breakfast cereal that felt like dessert first thing in the morning. Each little piece was shaped like a tiny golden waffle, complete with grid marks and a deliciously sweet maple syrup flavor that made it taste just like the real thing. The smell alone when you opened the box was enough to transport you to a cozy diner with fresh waffles on the griddle, even if you were just sitting at your own kitchen table. What made Waffle Crisp so memorable wasn't just its unique flavor, but the satisfying crunch that held up even in milk. The cereal stayed crispy for just long enough, letting you enjoy each spoonful before it softened, making it perfect for those who loved a little crunch in their morning routine. And for a lot of kids, it was the best part of waking up. There was nothing like a bowl of Waffle Crisp to start the day with a little extra sweetness. Despite its popularity, Waffle Crisp eventually disappeared from shelves, leaving fans missing that nostalgic syrupy crunch. For anyone who enjoyed it, Waffle Crisp wasn't just breakfast, it was a bit of morning magic that made waking up feel special. Nestle Quick Strawberry Powder.
Nestle Quick is a strawberry dream come true.
Nestle Quick Strawberry Powder was the drink mix that turned any regular glass of milk into a pink, fruity treat. Just a few spoonfuls of that bright pink powder transformed milk into a sweet strawberry delight, and stirring it in until the color was perfectly even was all part of the fun. The powder had a distinctive, almost candy-like strawberry flavor that was both familiar and exciting, making it an easy favorite for kids who wanted a break from plain chocolate milk. What made it even more memorable was the ritual. Some kids would dump in extra scoops for an extra sugary kick, while others tried to get it perfectly balanced with just the right amount of pink. And there was that unmistakable sweet strawberry aroma that filled the kitchen as soon as the powder hit the milk, a smell that could make any kid grin in anticipation. Though still available in some places, Strawberry Quick isn't as common as it once was, but it holds a special place in the memories of those who grew up with it. For many, Nestle Quick Strawberry was more than just a drink. It was a mini celebration in every glass, turning a simple cup of milk into something magical and sweet. Hostess Choco Bliss.
New Hostess Choco Bliss? Whoa, check that super chocolatey icing.
Hostess Choco Bliss was the ultimate treat for chocolate lovers in the 80s. These decadent snack cakes were made up of 2 layers of rich, fudgy chocolate cake, separated by a creamy chocolate filling and topped with a smooth layer of chocolate frosting. Just one bite and you were in chocolate heaven. It was everything you could want in a dessert packed into a single snack cake. Choco Bliss had a way of making any lunchbox feel like a luxury. The texture was dense yet soft, and each bite was filled with that unmistakable Hostess sweetness. These cakes were a bit of a departure from other Hostess snacks, which often included cream filling or icing swirls. Instead, Choco Bliss was all about one thing: pure chocolate indulgence. And with that chocolate on chocolate approach, it quickly became a favorite for kids who couldn't get enough cocoa. Sadly, Hostess eventually discontinued Choco Bliss, much to the disappointment of fans. But for those who remember, it's still a sweet memory of after-school snacks, lunchbox surprises, and an era when chocolate treats like Choco Bliss felt like the ultimate reward at the end of a long day. Oreo Big Stuff. Oreo Big Stuff was a supersized version of the classic Oreo that made every cookie lover's dream come true. Imagine a single Oreo, but about 10 times bigger. It was a dessert you could practically hold with both hands. Each Big Stuff came individually wrapped, making it feel even more special, as if you were unwrapping a mini cake rather than just a cookie. The filling was just as rich and creamy as the original, but in Big Stuff proportions, it felt like a whole different experience. Kids would debate the best way to tackle one. Twist it open to eat the filling first, or just take huge bites right through the middle. It was the kind of snack that felt like a reward, whether as a school treat or a weekend indulgence, and every bite had that classic Oreo flavor, just bigger and better. Despite its popularity, Oreo Big Stuff didn't last long and was discontinued in the early 90s. But for those who remember, Big Stuff was an unforgettable part of snacking in the 80s, when bigger is better was the rule, and no cookie was too large to enjoy in one sitting if you were up for the challenge. Bar none.
And it comes in 2. Bar none's the one with so much more. Bar none's got chocolate wafers.
Bar None was a unique chocolate bar that hit shelves in the late 80s and quickly won over anyone who tried it. Made by Hershey's, it combined layers of chocolate wafers, a creamy chocolate filling, and a thick coating of milk chocolate with just a hint of crushed peanuts. The result was a bar with a satisfyingly crunchy texture and a rich chocolatey taste that felt like a more indulgent, layered version of traditional chocolate bars. What set Bar None apart was that it felt like a candy bar built for chocolate purists. The mix of wafers, chocolate cream, and peanut pieces made it more complex than your average candy, and it had this dense, decadent texture that kept you reaching for another bite. For those who grew up with it, Bar None was a chocolate experience that felt almost gourmet, something a little more sophisticated, even though it was just as fun to unwrap as any other candy. Unfortunately, Bar None disappeared from shelves by the mid-90s, despite its loyal following, but those who remember it can still recall that perfect mix of crunch, cream, and chocolate that made Bar None a standout in the candy aisle. Carnation Breakfast Bars.
New Carnation Breakfast Bar. Smooth chocolate, crispy nuts, crunchy centers.
Carnation Breakfast Bars were the original on-the-go breakfast before granola bars took over. They were marketed as a quick, nutritious breakfast option, and for kids in the 80s, they felt like a treat you could eat on a busy school morning without needing a sit-down meal. Each bar was packed with chocolate and had a slightly gritty texture from oats and other grains, making it feel like a cross between a candy bar and an energy bar. Wrapped in foil, these bars had flavors like chocolate chip and peanut butter, with just the right amount of sweetness to make breakfast feel fun. Kids loved them not only because they were tasty, but also because they seemed like a grown-up snack, something you could grab and eat just like an adult. Carnation Breakfast Bars were eventually phased out despite their early popularity, and they've since become a nostalgic memory for those who remember them. For many, these bars were the start of the convenience food trend, and they hold a special place as the breakfast that brought a little excitement to rushed mornings and busy school days. Marathon Bar.
You can't eat a marathon candy bar fast, quick, Kurt. It lasts a good long time.
The Marathon Bar was the ultimate test of patience for candy lovers in the 80s. It was a long, braided caramel bar coated in milk chocolate, stretching out to about 8 inches, a rare sight among candies. Its length and distinctive texture set it apart from other chocolate bars. It wasn't something you could just bite through in one go. Instead, the chewy caramel made you savor every bite, as it took a while to get through even a single piece. The Marathon Bar's red packaging featured a ruler printed on it, playfully showcasing its impressive length. This wasn't just a snack, it was almost a challenge to see how long you could make it last. Kids loved it for its unique look and feel, and for many, it became the go-to treat when they wanted something that felt like it was worth the pocket change. Marathon Bars disappeared from shelves in the 80s, leaving fans without that distinct, satisfying chew. But anyone who remembers it will tell you, the Marathon Bar was as much an experience as it was a candy, one that made every trip to the candy aisle feel like an adventure. PB Max.
Boy, that's pure bliss. PB Max, we mean peanut butter.
PB Max was a candy bar that took peanut butter lovers to the next level. It featured a thick, creamy layer of real peanut butter on a cookie base, all coated in rich milk chocolate and sprinkled with little crunchy oats for extra texture. It was like having a full dessert packed into a single bite with flavors that were rich and deeply satisfying. The name PB Max came from the maximum amount of peanut butter they could squeeze into each bar, and it truly delivered. The texture was part of the appeal. First the snap of the chocolate, then the crumbly cookie, and finally the smooth peanut butter that melted in your mouth. It quickly became a favorite for those who loved anything peanut butter, with a heft that felt substantial. Despite its popularity, PB Max was discontinued in the early 90s. Rumor has it wasn't due to low sales, but rather because the Mars family didn't care for peanut butter themselves. For fans, PB Max was a peanut butter paradise and a treat that felt as rich as it was delicious, making it a snack that remains missed to this day. Giggles Cookies.
I like new Giggles cookies because we've got 2 kinds of cream inside.
Giggles Cookies were the snack that added a little extra fun to every bite. These sandwich cookies, similar in structure to Oreos, had playful faces on them that smiled back at you, making snack time feel a bit like a comedy show. Each cookie had a crunchy exterior, and inside there was a double layer of creamy filling, one side vanilla, the other chocolate. This made them unique and extra appealing for anyone who loved variety in their cookies. Kids loved pulling them apart, either to eat the filling first or to laugh at the funny little faces before devouring them. The combination of vanilla and chocolate cream was perfectly balanced, so you got the best of both worlds in one cookie. Giggles cookies were especially popular in lunchboxes, where they were often traded or saved as the ultimate lunchtime treat. Though they eventually disappeared from shelves, Giggles cookies left a lasting impression on anyone who grew up with them. They weren't just a snack, they were a mini moment of happiness, with a taste that brought together the best of chocolate, vanilla, and a touch of humor. This video takes you back to the 80s with 20 classic snacks, candies, and treats that made our childhoods unforgettable. From Giggles cookies to JellO pudding pops, these iconic favorites were more than just snacks, they were memories. What's your favorite 80s treat? Comment below and don't forget to subscribe. The 1980s gave us some of the most imaginative cartoons ever created, yet many of these incredible shows have been lost to time, fading from memory. In this video, we'll uncover 20 forgotten cartoons from the 1980s that shaped our childhood. From intergalactic battles to magical friendships, each show holds a unique story. Stick around for nostalgia-packed memories and rediscover the hidden gems you might have forgotten. The Littles. Do you remember peeking into the walls as a child, wondering if little people lived inside? The Littles brought that fantasy to life in the 1980s, making us believe that a whole world of miniature humans might be sharing our homes. These tiny mouse-sized characters with tails and pointy ears were resourceful, adventurous, and full of heart. Each episode followed Tom, Lucy, and their mischievous cousin Dinky as they embarked on daring escapades, often involving humans who threatened their secret existence. What made the Littles so captivating? Maybe it was their ingenuity, using everyday objects like bottle caps or paper clips as tools. Or perhaps it was their relatable struggles, family bonds, bravery, and the constant challenge of being different in a big world. For kids, this show wasn't just about action. It was about dreaming of a hidden universe where the smallest voices could still make a difference. As adults, it's easy to see why we were hooked. The show encouraged us to see the world with curiosity and creativity. Even now, thinking about the Littles sparks nostalgia for a time when imagination knew no limits. Did you ever secretly hope to find their world? You weren't alone. Mass out. What happens when you mix the tech brilliance of the Transformers with the elite squad action of G.I. Joe? You get Mask, Mobile Armored Strike Command, a show that had everything a young mind craved. Transforming vehicles, high-stakes missions, and iconic masks that granted each character unique powers. Matt Tracker and his team weren't your typical heroes. They operated covertly, battling the evil Venom, vicious evil network of mayhem, with gadgets that seemed straight out of a spy thriller. Who could forget the Thunderhawk, a sports car that turned into a fighter jet, or the Condor, a motorcycle that became a helicopter? The brilliance of Mask lay in its ability to keep you guessing. What would the vehicles transform into next? How would the masks play into the mission? Every episode left you on the edge of your seat. It wasn't just a show, it was a blueprint for playground adventures. Kids would imagine themselves piloting these incredible machines, wearing their own masks, and saving the world. Even decades later, Mask represents the perfect blend of creativity and action. Why did this gem fade away? It's one of the great mysteries of 80s cartoons, but its legacy of innovation remains unforgettable. Silverhawks. Ever dream of soaring through space with wings of steel? That's exactly what the Silverhawks promised. This intergalactic team of half-human, half-machine heroes brought a futuristic spin to the classic cowboy narrative. Led by Commander Stargazer, they fought to keep peace in the galaxy against the sinister Monstar, who wielded dark energy to spread chaos. The visuals of Silverhawks were breathtaking for its time. Each character, with their metallic sheen, seemed larger than life. Quicksilver, the team leader, exuded charisma and strength, while Steelheart and Steel Will showcased teamwork and resilience. Even the sidekick, Tallyhawk, added charm as a robotic bird companion. But it wasn't just the action that hooked us, it was the idea of transformation. Watching ordinary humans become these superpowered beings with dazzling wings symbolized endless possibilities. Who wouldn't want to escape Earth and become a shining protector of the galaxy? Today's Silverhawks might seem like a hidden gem, overshadowed by its more famous sibling, Thundercats. But for those who remember, it was more than a show, it was a gateway to imagining life among the stars. What would you do if you could take flight in the cosmos? Visionaries. What happens when a futuristic society loses all its technology and reverts to a world ruled by magic? Visionaries, Knights of the Magical Light, answered that question with a unique blend of science fiction and fantasy. The show introduced us to the Spectral Knights and the Darkling Lords, two factions fighting for control of their now magical world. Each knight carried a holographic totem animal that granted them special abilities. For example, Leoric transformed into a lion, symbolizing his bravery, while his enemy Darkstorm turned into a menacing mollusk. The totems weren't just cool visuals, they represented the characters' personalities and added depth to their battles. The beauty of the Visionaries lay in its underlying theme, adaptation. How do you survive when everything you know is taken away? The series taught us about resilience, teamwork, and finding new strengths in the face of change. Though the show only lasted a single season, its rich lore and stunning visuals left a mark. Imagine the possibilities if this concept were revisited today. Would you align with the Spectral Knights or give in to the Darkling Lords? Gem and the Holograms. Showtime synergy! With those words, Jerrica Benton transformed into Gem, the neon-haired leader of Gem and the Holograms. This wasn't just a cartoon, it was a cultural phenomenon that encapsulated the music, fashion, and drama of the 80s. At its core, Gem was a story about dual identities. By day, Jerrica was a business-savvy woman running Starlight Music. By night, she became Gem, using her holographic earrings to project a persona that captured audiences worldwide. Alongside her bandmates, she faced rivalries with the Misfits, tackled personal struggles, and balanced the pressures of fame. The show was bold, addressing issues like jealousy, betrayal, and empowerment, all while delivering catchy songs that became instant earworms. For fans, Gem wasn't just a character, she was a role model, proving that women could be strong, creative, and multifaceted. Looking back, Gem and the Holograms list was ahead of its time, blending storytelling with a powerful message about staying true to yourself. If you grew up singing along to Gem, you'll know exactly why she's truly outrageous. Wouldn't it be fun to relive the glam rock magic? Dino Riders.
Forces. And so, the battle continues in a new place and time with Dino Rider.
Picture this, a Tyrannosaurus Rex charging into battle, decked out with lasers, armor, and a rider commanding it from a futuristic saddle. That's the unforgettable premise of Dino Riders. This 1980s gem combined two childhood obsessions, dinosaurs and high-tech sci-fi, into one epic series. The Valorians, a peaceful civilization, are thrust back in time and form telepathic bonds with dinosaurs to fight the evil Rulons, who enslaved the creatures with cruel brainwashing devices. But what made the Dino Riders special wasn't just the jaw-dropping action, it was the emotional depth. The bond between the Valorians and their dinosaur allies stood in stark contrast to the Rulons' exploitation, teaching young viewers the value of respect, teamwork, and empathy. This wasn't just a show about cool gadgets, it was a battle for freedom and friendship. The visuals were stunning for their time, bringing prehistoric creatures to life in a way that captured imaginations. Whether it was a Pteranodon soaring through the skies or an Ankylosaurus defending with its armored tail, every detail made you want to dive into this world. It wasn't just entertainment, it was inspiration for hours of playtime adventures. Why did the Dino Riders disappear? Perhaps it was overshadowed by other sci-fi hits of the era, but for those who remember, it was a series that made us dream of riding dinosaurs into battle, and its legacy is as strong as the mighty T-Rex, Denver, the last dinosaur. He's my friend and a whole lot more. If you just sang that line in your head, you're one of the many who grew up loving Denver, the last dinosaur. This quirky show introduced us to a fun-loving, skateboarding, guitar-playing dinosaur who lived in sunny 1980s California with a group of human friends. The series began with a group of teens discovering a mysterious egg that hatches into Denver, a friendly dinosaur with a knack for getting into trouble. But Denver wasn't just about fun and games. He became the glue that held the group together, helping them them navigate typical teen challenges like friendships, bullies, and responsibility, all while hiding him from the world. What set Denver apart was its blend of lighthearted humor and educational elements. Between the hijinks, the show found time to sprinkle in facts about dinosaurs and history, making it more than just entertainment. And let's not forget the catchy theme song, which still lives rent-free in many minds today. For kids in the 80s, Denver was more than a cartoon. He was a symbol of adventure, loyalty, and a time when anything felt possible. If you ever wished you could find your own dinosaur egg, you weren't alone. The Wuzzles. Take a bumblebee and mix it with a lion, or combine a kangaroo and an elephant. That's the magic of the Wuzzles, a colorful and whimsical cartoon where every character was a hybrid of two animals. Living on the fantastical woos, these charming creatures tackled everyday problems with humor, creativity, and a big dose of teamwork. Characters like Bumble Lion, Butter Bear, and Rhino Key brought vibrant personalities to the screen. Each episode featured heartwarming stories about friendship and problem solving, wrapped in a world so imaginative that it felt like stepping into a dream. The Wuzzles' unique designs and playful adventures made them an instant hit with kids. But beyond the cute characters, the Wuzzles had a deeper message, embracing differences. Each character's hybrid nature highlighted the idea that being unique is a strength, not a flaw. It was an early lesson in diversity wrapped in a package of bright colors and laughs. Though it only lasted one season, the Wuzzles captured the hearts of 80s kids. If you were one of them, you might still smile at the thought of Bumble Lion buzzing around or Rhino Key cracking jokes. Turbo Teen. What if your teenage years came with a bizarre twist, like turning into a car? That's exactly what Brett Matthews dealt with in Turbo Teen. After a lab accident fused his DNA with his sports car, Brett found himself transforming into a vehicle whenever his body temperature rose. Weird? Absolutely. Memorable? Without a doubt. The show's premise was as wild as it sounds, but that's what made it so captivating. Brett and his friends roared into action every episode, using his unique ability to solve mysteries and outsmart villains. The transformations, often accompanied by dramatic sound effects, were both cool and slightly unsettling, leaving kids in awe of the concept. But beneath the absurdity, Turbo Teen was about adapting to life's challenges, even when they're as unusual as becoming a turbocharged vehicle. It fueled kids' imagination, sparking endless games of pretending to rev up into action. Though short-lived, Turbo Teen left a lasting impression. It may not have made sense, but it didn't need to. It was pure 80s fun. Pound puppies.
We're Pound Puppies. Cooler and the crew.
If you ever begged your parents for a toy puppy in the 80s, Pound Puppies probably had something to do with it. This heartwarming cartoon followed a group of adorable talking dogs who lived in a shelter, dreaming of finding forever homes while embarking on exciting adventures. The show centered around Cooler, the charismatic leader, and his lovable crew, including Nose Marie and Whopper. Together, they worked to help their fellow pups find families, often outsmarting bumbling villains or overcoming obstacles in the process. Every episode tugged at your heartstrings, mixing humor with lessons about kindness, loyalty, and perseverance. But Pound Puppies wasn't just about cute dogs. It taught kids the importance of compassion, responsibility, and the joy of adopting animals in need. The show's themes resonated deeply, making it more than just entertainment. It was a movement that encouraged empathy and care for others. For many kids, Pound Puppies wasn't just a show. It was the reason they fell in love with dogs. Even today, the memories of those adventures live on, reminding us of the power of friendship and a wagging tail. Wildfire. Imagine discovering that you're not just an ordinary girl, but the heir to a magical kingdom, and your protector is a mystical horse. That's the story of Wildfire. The show followed Sarah, a teenage girl from Earth, who learns she is the princess of the magical world of Darshan. Her guide and loyal companion is Wildfire, a majestic horse who transports her between worlds to fight against the evil forces threatening her homeland. What made Wildfire so enchanting was its mix of fantasy and emotional depth. At its heart, it was about courage, identity, and standing up for what's right. Every episode brought magical battles and heartfelt moments, with Sarah growing into her role as a leader while protecting her friends and family. And for kids, Wildfire was a portal to a realm of wonder and bravery, where a horse could be more than a pet. It could be a symbol of destiny. The series may not have lasted long, but its magic left an indelible mark on the imaginations of its fans. Widget. the World Watcher. In an era where environmental awareness was just beginning to take root, Widget, the World Watcher, brought eco-consciousness to Saturday mornings. The show starred Widget, a shape-shifting alien sent to Earth to protect it from pollution, deforestation, and other threats. Alongside his human friends Kevin and Christine, Widget tackled environmental challenges with a mix of humor, action, and education. What made Widget unique was how it addressed serious issues in a kid-friendly way. Instead of preaching, the show turned problems like oil spills or endangered species into exciting adventures. Kids learned about the environment without even realizing it. Widget's transformations and clever solutions kept the action engaging. Widget, the World Watcher that wasn't just a cartoon, it was a call to action. It inspired a generation to think about the planet and their role in protecting it. For those who grew up watching, Widget was more than an alien hero. He was a reminder that small actions could make a big difference. Beverly Hills Teen. What happens when you mix high school drama with over-the-top luxury? You get the Beverly Hills Teens, a cartoon that turned the glitz and glamour of Beverly Hills into a playground for a group of spoiled yet endearing teenagers. The show followed characters like Lark, the kind-hearted blonde, Bianca, her scheming rival, and Troy, the charming love interest. Their adventures revolved around shopping sprees, parties, and navigating high school relationships, all set against the backdrop of extravagant mansions and designer outfits. What made Beverly Hills Teens stand out was its satirical take on wealth and privilege. While it showcased the excesses of the 80s, it also poked fun at them, giving kids a glimpse into a world of luxury they could only dream of. Beneath the glamour, it reminded viewers about the importance of friendship and staying grounded, even in the spotlight. The series may have been a bit over the top, but that's what made it so fun. It captured the decade's obsession with fashion and status while delivering plenty of laughs along the way. Rubik, the Amazing Cube. In the 80s, few toys were as iconic as the Rubiks Cube, but what if it could talk, float, and solve mysteries? That was the premise of the Rubik, the Amazing Cube. This quirky cartoon followed a group of kids who discover a magical Rubik's Cube with a cheerful face and the ability to come alive when solved. Rubik wasn't just a toy, he was a friend. Together with his human companions, he used his powers to thwart bad guys and help those in need. The show's mix of adventure and humor made it a hit with kids who were already obsessed with the puzzle toy. But Rubik, the Amazing Cube wasn't just about solving mysteries. It was a celebration of teamwork and problem solving, with Rubik's magical transformations reflecting the joy of cracking a difficult puzzle. For fans, it added a whole new layer of fun to the already beloved toy. Kid Video. What if you got sucked into a music video and had to find your way back to reality? That's the wild premise of Kid Video. The show began with a group of teenage musicians being transported into the flip side, a colorful, surreal world ruled by the evil Master Blaster. With the help of glitter, a fairy-like guide, the band used their music to navigate the flip side's bizarre landscapes and defeat Master Blaster's schemes. Each episode was packed with catchy songs and wild visuals that felt like an 80s music video brought to life. Kid Video wasn't just about the adventure, it was about celebrating creativity and the power of music. It captured the decade's energy, blending fantasy with the upbeat vibe of pop culture. For fans, it was a one-of-a-kind experience that turned every episode into a mini concert. Even today, its soundtrack and imaginative world remain unforgettable. Cops.
It's crime fighting time.
Imagine a futuristic city where crime has reached new technological heights. Who do you call? The cops, the central organization of police specialists. This team of cyber-enhanced law enforcers was tasked with battling the crime lord Big Boss and his gang of high-tech villains. Each cops member had a unique cybernetic enhancement that gave them an edge in the field. From Bulletproof, the team leader with an armored torso, to Long Arm, who used an extending handcuff arm, every character had a distinct personality and skill set. Meanwhile, the villains were just as colorful, featuring characters like Ms. Demeanor and Buttons McBoom Boom, who added a quirky edge to the action. The series wasn't just about flashy gadgets, it was about justice and teamwork in a world that felt like a cross between a cop drama and a sci-fi blockbuster. For kids, it was an exhilarating look at a high-tech future where good always triumphed over evil. Camp Candy.
Summer made of memories at Camp Candy.
Yep, what happens when a lovable comedian becomes the head counselor of a summer camp? You get to Camp Candy, a lighthearted show starring John Candy as a cartoon version of himself. Set in a colorful summer camp, the series followed John and his campers as they navigated outdoor adventures, life lessons, and plenty of laughs. What made Camp Candy special was its warmth. John Candy's charm carried over into his animated counterpart, creating a character who was equal parts goofy and heartwarming. Each episode had a message, teaching kids about friendship, teamwork, and respecting nature, all while delivering plenty of laughs. For kids in the 80s, Camp Candy felt like a cozy escape, making them wish they could join the fun at a camp run by John Candy. It may not have had high-stakes drama, but its simplicity and humor made it unforgettable. Galaxy High School. What if you were the new kid in school, except it's in outer space? That's the premise of Galaxy High School, a show about two human teenagers, Doyle and Amy, who are sent to study at a high school filled with quirky alien classmates. The series flips stereotypes on their head. Doyle, the popular jock on Earth, struggles to fit in, while Amy, the nerdy girl, becomes a star student. Their adventures in navigating this bizarre intergalactic environment were full of humor, heart, and lessons about accepting differences. The show's imaginative setting and wacky alien designs made it visually captivating, while its relatable themes of fitting in and finding your place struck a chord with viewers. Galaxy High School proved that no matter where you are in the universe, school life is always an adventure. The Bionic 6.
Good and evil. The Bionic 6.
A family of superheroes, each enhanced with bionic powers, taking on villains to protect the world. That's the thrilling concept of the Bionic 6. This show introduced us to the Bennetts, an ordinary family transformed into heroes after a freak accident grants them extraordinary abilities. Led by their father, Jack, aka Bionic 1, the family worked together to stop the evil Dr. Scarab and his gang. Each member had unique powers like Karate 1's strength or Sport 1's agility, which they combined to take on any threat. What made the Bionic 6 stand out was its focus on family dynamics. Amid the action, the show explored themes like trust, teamwork, and the importance of supporting each other. It wasn't just about fighting villains, it was about how a family could come together to overcome anything. Dino Saucers. Dinosaurs from outer space. That was the wild premise of the Dino Saucers, a show about two groups of anthropomorphic dinosaurs battling for control of Earth. The heroic Dino Saucers, led by Allo, sought peace, while the evil Tyrannos, led by Genghis Rex, aimed to conquer the planet. What made the series memorable was its mix of humor, action, and absurdity. The Dino Saucers worked alongside a group of human teens, the Secret Scouts, to thwart the Tyrannos' schemes. Their advanced technology and dinosaur-themed gadgets kept kids glued to the screen. The show also sparked endless playtime imagination. Who wouldn't want to ride a dinosaur equipped with lasers? Though it only lasted one season, Dino Saucers remains a cult favorite, reminding us that dinosaurs and sci-fi are always a winning combination. These forgotten 80s cartoons weren't just shows, they were magical moments that shaped our imaginations and childhoods. From heroic battles to whimsical adventures, they taught us about courage, teamwork, and friendship. Which was your favorite? Let us know, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more nostalgic journey. The 1980s were an era of captivating stars who lit up our screens and defined beauty for a generation. From iconic roles to unforgettable charm, these actresses ruled Hollywood until they seemingly vanished. In this video, we'll explore 20 forgotten beautiful actresses from the 1980s and uncover their lasting legacies. Let's dive in. Phoebe Cates. Do you remember Phoebe Cates walking into the pool scene in Fast Times at Ridgemont High? That unforgettable moment cemented her as an 80s icon, but her career and charm extended far beyond that single scene. Phoebe had a magnetic presence that combined girl next door relatability with undeniable star power. After Fast Times, she captured hearts again in Gremlins, playing Kate, the sensible girlfriend who balanced the chaos of the mischievous creatures. Her performance was understated yet captivating, giving a sense of grounded emotion amid the comedic mayhem. Phoebe's ability to bring authenticity to every role made her a standout in a decade brimming with rising stars. Despite her on-screen success, Phoebe chose a different path, stepping away from the limelight in the mid-90s to focus on her family with actor Kevin Kline. While she may no longer appear on screen, her performances remain etched in the memory of 80s movie fans everywhere. Jennifer Beals. How many times have you seen someone recreate the iconic water-drenched dance scene from Flashdance? Jennifer Beals became an instant cultural phenomenon with her portrayal of Alex Owens, a welder by day and dancer by night. The movie wasn't just a box office smash, it inspired a generation of dreamers to fight for their passions. Jennifer's role in Flashdance showcased her talent, beauty, and charisma. Her character's determination resonated with audiences, and her natural elegance made her a fashion trendsetter. Though Jennifer wasn't the one performing the intricate dance moves, a body double was used. Her portrayal of Alex's grit and vulnerability made the character unforgettable. After Flashdance, Jennifer appeared in a variety of roles across TV and film, but never recaptured the same level of fame. Still, her legacy as a pop culture icon from the 80s remains intact. Mia Sara. What would Ferris Bueller's Day Off have been without the effortlessly cool Sloane Peterson? Mia Sara's portrayal of Ferris's girlfriend added sophistication and charm to the wild escapades of the movie. She was the dream girl of the 80s, beautiful, confident, and willing to skip school for a day of adventure. Mia's role in Ferris Bueller's Day Off was just one highlight of her career. She also appeared as Princess Lily in Legend, opposite Tom Cruise, showcasing her versatility as an actress. Whether she was playing a modern teenager or a fantasy princess, Mia brought grace and depth to her characters. Despite her early success, Mia stepped back from the Hollywood spotlight in the 1990s. Today, her work in 80s classics keeps her in the hearts of fans who grew up watching her. Kelly LeBrock. In the 80s, Kelly LeBrock wasn't just an actress, she was a fantasy. Her role as Lisa, the computer-generated perfect woman in Weird Science, cemented her status as a pop culture icon. With her sultry voice, striking beauty, and a touch of humor, Kelly made Lisa unforgettable. Kelly's appeal wasn't limited to Weird Science. She also starred in The Woman in Red, a romantic comedy where her undeniable presence lit up the screen. Her ability to balance glamour with relatability made her a favorite among audiences. However, Kelly's career began to fade in the 90s as Hollywood shifted away from her type of roles. Despite stepping back from the spotlight, she remains a symbol of 80s glamour and fantasy, with fans still reminiscing about her iconic performances. Rebecca De Mornay. Rebecca De Mornay's role in Risky Business opposite Tom Cruise put her on the map as one of the most alluring actresses of the 80s. As Lana, the mysterious and confident love interest, Rebecca brought an edge to the film that set it apart from other coming-of-age stories of the time. Rebecca's talents extended beyond her beauty. She displayed incredible range in roles like the chilling nanny in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, proving she could captivate audiences in thrillers as well as dramas. Her versatility made her one of the most intriguing actresses of her time. While Rebecca continued to work in Hollywood, her fame peaked during the 80s and early 90s. Today, her performances in classics like Risky Business remind us of her incredible talent and screen presence. Deborah Foreman. Do you remember Valley Girl? The quintessential 80s teen romance that defined an era? Deborah Foreman's portrayal of Julie, a sweet and stylish Valley girl who falls for a punk rocker, was at the heart of the film. Her natural charisma and relatable performance brought life to a love story that resonated with audiences everywhere. Alongside a young Nicolas Cage, Deborah made the story of two people from different worlds falling in love feel both fresh and timeless. Valley Girl wasn't Deborah's only foray into iconic 80s films. She brought her charm and versatility to a range of projects, including the horror comedy April Fool's Day, where she masterfully blended suspense and wit, and the cult classic Waxwork, where her performance as a curious heroine fighting supernatural forces was both compelling and fun. These roles showcased her ability to switch seamlessly between genres, captivating audiences with her girl-next-door appeal. Despite her talent and success in memorable films, Deborah's career didn't soar into A-list territory as the decade progressed. As Hollywood shifted its focus, Deborah chose to step away from the limelight, leaving her fans with a collection of roles that perfectly captured the spirit of the 1980s. Today, Deborah Foreman is celebrated by fans of 80s nostalgia, with her work in Valley Girl standing as a lasting testament to her impact. Her radiant presence and ability to make characters feel real continue to charm audiences rediscovering these classics. Tawny Kitayan. Few images are as synonymous with the 80s as Tawny Kitayan dancing on the hood of a Jaguar in Whitesnake's iconic music video for Here I Go Again. Her effortless beauty and electric charisma turned her into a cultural icon, forever associated with the glamour and excess of the decade. Beyond her music video fame, Tawny also had a successful acting career. Her role in Bachelor Party alongside Tom Hanks showcased her comedic chops as she played the strong-willed but endearing bride-to-be. Her performance added a layer of depth to a raunchy comedy, demonstrating her ability to hold her own against a rising star like Hanks. Despite her early successes, Tawny's career took a quieter turn as the 90s approached. Personal struggles and a changing entertainment landscape contributed to her retreat from the public eye. However, her performances and presence in both music and film left an indelible mark on the pop culture of the 80s. For fans of the era, Tawny Kitayan remains an unforgettable symbol of beauty, rebellion, and fun. Her work continues to evoke nostalgia for a time when rock videos ruled and stars like her reigned supreme. Kim Greist brought a unique mix of vulnerability and strength to her performances, making her an unforgettable presence in 1980s cinema. Best known for her role as Jill Layton in Terry Gilliam's Brazil, Kim's portrayal of a dreamer caught in a dystopian nightmare provided a human anchor to the film's surreal chaos. Her understated performance added warmth and relatability to a world filled with bureaucratic absurdity and fantastical imagery. Kim's career wasn't limited to Brazil. She also left her mark in films like Manhunter, where she played the supportive yet concerned partner of a detective hunting a serial killer. Her ability to convey deep emotion in subtle ways gave her characters authenticity, even in roles with limited screen time. In Throw Mama from the Train, she proved her comedic versatility, adding a lighter touch to her repertoire. While her career gained momentum in the 80s, Kim stepped back from Hollywood by the 90s, leaving behind a body of work that resonated with fans of thought-provoking and offbeat cinema. Her performances in cult classics ensure she remains a beloved figure among those who appreciate her contributions to the decade's unique storytelling. Jami Gertz. Jami Gertz was a quintessential face of the 80s, bringing charm and versatility to a wide range of roles. Whether it was the quirky friend in 16 Candles, the mysterious vampiress in The Lost Boys, or the troubled yet captivating Blair in Less Than Zero, Jami had an undeniable screen presence that made her stand out. Her role in Less Than Zero was particularly impactful. Playing a young woman entangled in a web of addiction and privilege, Jami delivered a nuanced performance that highlighted her emotional depth as an actress. She brought vulnerability and complexity to a character navigating the darker side of wealth and youth. Jami's ability to balance comedy and drama set her apart. In The Lost Boys, she exuded a mix of allure and danger, while in teen comedies like 16 Candles, she added humor and relatability to her characters. This range made her a favorite among 80s audiences. Although Jami continued acting into the 90s and beyond, her roles in 80s films remain her most iconic. She's remembered fondly for her ability to light up the screen, whether in coming-of-age tales or darker, more dramatic fare. Catherine Mary Stewart. For fans of 80s sci-fi and horror, Catherine Mary Stewart is an enduring icon. Her role as Maggie in The Last Starfighter made her a fan favorite, as she played the supportive girlfriend of a small-town gamer who becomes an intergalactic hero. Catherine brought warmth and relatability to a film filled with futuristic adventures, grounding the story in genuine emotion. Her versatility shone again in the cult classic Night of the Comet, where she played Regina, a strong and resourceful survivor in a post-apocalyptic world. Catherine balanced the film's quirky humor with her character's resilience, creating a heroine who was as likable as she was brave. Catherine's knack for blending strength and vulnerability made her an ideal leading lady in a decade that celebrated dynamic female characters. She also appeared in lighter fare like Weekend at Bernie's, proving her comedic timing and further cementing her status as a versatile performer. While Catherine's career didn't soar into A-list territory, her roles in these cult classics earned her a devoted fan base. She remains a beloved figure for fans of 80s genre films, her performances continuing to resonate with those who grew up during that magical decade. Lea Thompson. Lea Thompson is perhaps best remembered for her role as Lorraine McFly, Marty McFly's charming and complex mother in Back to the Future. Her performance added layers to the time-traveling story, from portraying a teenage version of Lorraine with wit and sass to showing her struggles as an adult in a seemingly humdrum life. Lea brought humor, warmth, and a touch of vulnerability to the role, making her an unforgettable part of one of the most iconic films of the 1980s. But Back to the Future was just the beginning. Leah also starred in Howard the Duck, where she played Beverly, a rock singer caught in a whirlwind of bizarre sci-fi adventures. While the movie itself became infamous for its odd premise, Leah's performance stood out as earnest and engaging. She also shone in Some Kind of Wonderful, proving her talent for balancing romantic and dramatic roles. Leah continued her career into the 90s and beyond, but her contributions to 80s cinema remain iconic. Her versatility, charm, and ability to connect with audiences cemented her as a star of the decade. Lori Singer. Lori Singer became a household name when she starred as Ariel Moore in Footloose, the rebellious preacher's daughter who captured Kevin Bacon's heart. Her portrayal of Ariel was electric, balancing vulnerability with fiery determination. Lori's on-screen chemistry with Bacon, combined with her dancing and acting skills, made her a key figure in one of the most beloved movies of the decade. Before Footloose, Lori showcased her musical talent as a cellist in the television series Fame, where she brought depth and relatability to her character, Julie Miller. Her ability to combine her love for music and acting made her stand out in a crowded field of young actresses. Despite her success in the 80s, Lori's career slowed down in the following decades. She chose roles more selectively, stepping away from the mainstream. Today, her work in Footloose and Fame remains a defining part of her legacy, making her a symbol of 80s determination and youthful rebellion. Amanda Wyss. Amanda Wyss is best known for her role as Tina Gray, the first victim in Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street. Her harrowing death scene became one of the most iconic moments in horror history, solidifying her place in the genre. Amanda's performance brought authenticity to a role that could have easily been overshadowed by the supernatural elements of the film. Amanda also starred in Better Off Dead, where she played Beth, the love interest who breaks John Cusack's heart. Her comedic timing and ability to play off the absurd humor of the movie showcased her range beyond horror. Despite these standout roles, Amanda didn't achieve the same level of stardom as some of her peers. However, her work in these cult classics ensures her a permanent spot in the memories of 80s movie fans, particularly those who love horror and quirky comedies. Elizabeth Shue. Elizabeth Shue's breakout role as Allie Mills in The Karate Kid made her a household name in the 1980s. Her portrayal of Daniel LaRusso's charming and confident girlfriend brought depth and authenticity to the beloved coming-of-age story. She became the quintessential girl next door, with a warmth that made her instantly relatable. Elizabeth continued her success with Adventures in Babysitting, where she played Chris, a high school senior turned reluctant babysitter who finds herself on a wild adventure through the city. The film showcased Elizabeth's comedic timing and ability to carry a movie as a leading lady. While she continued to find success in the 90s and beyond, her 80s roles remain some of her most beloved. Fans still fondly remember her as one of the decade's most talented and charismatic actresses. Kari Wuhrer. Kari Wuhrer began her acting career in the 1980s, appearing in popular TV shows like Remote Control and Married with Children. Her natural beauty and edgy persona made her stand out, earning her a growing fan base. While Kari's breakout moment came later in the 90s, her 80s appearances established her as a rising star. Her roles often balanced humor and sensuality, showcasing her versatility. Kari's ability to play confident, independent women made her a standout in supporting roles, paving the way for her more prominent success in the following decade. Though she may not be as widely remembered as other 80s actresses, Kari Wuhrer's contributions to the decade's TV and film scene left a lasting impression on fans who admired her charm and talent. Kim Karath. Although Kim first gained attention as the adorable Gretel in The Sound of Music during the 1960s, she transitioned into various roles on television and film in the 1980s. While her earlier work revolved around family-friendly productions, the 80s saw Kim exploring more mature and dramatic characters, showing a new side of her acting abilities. During the decade, Kim appeared in guest roles on popular TV shows, including Murder, She Wrote, and The Waltons, where she delivered nuanced performances that revealed her range. Her ability to transition from her wholesome child star persona to tackling more serious roles demonstrated her growth as an actress. Despite her talent, Kim chose to take a step back from acting as her priorities shifted toward her family. Though her appearances became less frequent, her contributions during the 80s left a lasting impression on fans who grew up admiring her work. Kim's presence on screen remains a nostalgic reminder of her career's evolution. Tracy Scoggins. Tracy Scoggins embodied glamour and sophistication during the 1980s, capturing attention with her striking looks and strong performances in primetime dramas like The Colbys and Dynasty. Her portrayal of Monica Colby showcased her ability to bring depth and intrigue to a character surrounded by wealth, betrayal, and family drama. Tracy's roles weren't confined to soap operas. She also appeared in action-packed shows like The A-Team and Hawaiian Heat, demonstrating her versatility and athleticism. Her confident, commanding presence made her an actress who could hold her own in a variety of genres, from drama to action. Though her 80s fame was tied to television, Tracy continued acting well into the 90s and beyond. Today, she is remembered as one of the quintessential faces of 80s TV, a symbol of elegance and strength during the era of big hair and even bigger drama. Janet Julian. Janet Julian's contributions to 80s entertainment often flew under the radar, but she brought a quiet intensity to every role she played. Known for her appearances in shows like Knight Rider and The A-Team, Janet delivered performances that stood out in episodic television, giving her characters depth even within the constraints of a single episode. Her film career included roles in movies like King of New York, where she worked alongside seasoned actors, holding her own with a combination of poise and charisma. Janet's understated performances lent authenticity to her roles, whether she was playing a supporting character in a crime drama or a leading lady in a smaller production. While Janet didn't become a household name, her work in the 80s has a lasting appeal for fans of the era. Her ability to bring sincerity to her characters made her a reliable and memorable presence in a wide range of projects. Lynn Holly Johnson. Lynn Holly Johnson dazzled audiences with her graceful transition from figure skating champion to Hollywood actress. Her breakout role in Ice Castles showcased her skating talent and emotional depth as she played Lexi, a young skater overcoming adversity. The film's success made her an inspirational figure, and her performance earned her a Golden Globe nomination. Lynn Holly's charm carried over to her role in the James Bond film For Your Eyes Only, where she played Bibi Doll, a spirited young athlete with an unforgettable personality. Her ability to bring lighthearted energy to the often intense Bond franchise demonstrated her versatility as an actress. While her career slowed down in the late 80s, Lynn Holly left a mark with her unique combination of athleticism and acting talent. Her work continues to be celebrated by fans who remember her as one of the decade's most graceful stars. Meg Tilly. Meg Tilly brought a quiet intensity to the screen during the 1980s, delivering unforgettable performances in films like The Big Chill and Agnes of God. In The Big Chill, she played Chloe, the youngest member of a group of old friends reuniting after a tragedy. Her portrayal of a free-spirited yet deeply intuitive character stood out in a cast filled with seasoned actors. Her role in Agnes of God earned her an Academy Award nomination, as she portrayed a troubled young nun in a gripping psychological drama. Meg's performance was haunting, showcasing her ability to convey vulnerability and strength in equal measure. Unlike many actresses of her time, Meg often chose roles that pushed emotional and psychological boundaries, setting her apart from her peers. While she stepped away from acting to focus on writing and family life, her work in the 80s remains a testament to her exceptional talent and unique presence. These forgotten actresses from the 1980s remind us of a time when beauty, talent, and charisma lit up our screens. From iconic roles to unforgettable performances, they left a lasting legacy in the hearts of fans. Which of these actresses do you miss the most? Let us know in the comments below. The 1980s were packed with bold trends that defined a generation. In this video, we'll dive into 20 more forgotten fads from the 1980s. From quirky zipper earrings to iconic checkerboard vans, these trends shaped how we expressed ourselves. How many of these do you still remember? Let's dive in and find out. Hypercolor t-shirt.
Got it.
Do you remember the magic of wearing clothes that changed color as you moved? Hypercolor t-shirts weren't just clothes, they were an experience. Introduced in the late 1980s, these shirts reacted to body heat, creating an ever-changing kaleidoscope of colors wherever they were touched or worn. At first glance, they were simple cotton shirts, but once worn, they transformed into interactive art. A warm hand pressed on the fabric would leave a handprint, or a breeze could shift the color entirely. For kids and teens, it was mesmerizing, an instant conversation starter and a way to stand out. Hypercolor wasn't just about fashion, it was about fun. Friends would touch each other's backs or arms to leave patterns, and many delighted in seeing their shirts shift hues during activities. The shirts became a phenomenon, turning science into something playful and trendy. But while they were magical, they weren't perfect. Washing them incorrectly could ruin their color-changing properties, and over time, their novelty wore off. Still, for a fleeting moment, hypercolor t-shirts were the epitome of 80s cool. Banana clips. Who doesn't remember the iconic banana clip? This simple hair accessory ruled the 1980s, creating cascading ponytails and adding volume to big hairstyles. Shaped like a long curved comb, it snaps shut to hold hair in place, giving wearers a polished yet bold look. Banana clips became a go-to for anyone embracing the decade's love of big dramatic hair. They were easy to use and could transform a basic hairstyle into something glamorous in seconds. The accessory worked for a variety of hair types, making it a universal favorite. A part of their charm was how they fit into every occasion. Whether for school, a night out, or even aerobics class, a banana clip added flair without fuss. And let's not forget the range of designs. Some were simple, while others were embellished with rhinestones or glitter for extra pizzazz. Though their popularity eventually faded, banana clips remain a nostalgic symbol of 80s hair fashion, evoking memories of big, bold styles. Plastic charm necklaces. What if your jewelry could tell your story? Plastic charm necklaces of the 1980s were all about personalization. These colorful, jangling accessories featured tiny charms that represented everything from hobbies to favorite foods, letting wearers express themselves in a unique way. The fun began with choosing the necklace, a simple chain, often neon or pastel. Then came the charms, miniature roller skates, tiny telephones, hamburgers, or even dolphins. Each charm was a piece of your personality, turning the necklace into a wearable scrapbook. For kids, collecting charms was half the excitement. Trading with friends, hunting for rare designs, or adding new ones to mark milestones made these necklaces feel special. They weren't just accessories, they were a way to connect and share your interests. Though they've faded from fashion, plastic charm necklaces remain a cherished memory for those who grew up jingling with pride. Punky Brewster sneakers. Have you ever worn shoes that made you feel unstoppable? Inspired by the beloved TV character, Punky Brewster sneakers brought her colorful, mismatched style to life. These shoes weren't just footwear, they were a statement of individuality and creativity. Each pair of Punky Brewster sneakers was intentionally mismatched, with bold patterns and bright colors that encouraged kids to embrace their unique style. For fans of the show, wearing these sneakers felt like channeling Punky's fearless, adventurous spirit. They weren't just stylish, they were comfortable and practical, perfect for climbing trees, riding bikes, or running around the playground. Parents appreciated the durability, while kids loved how they stood out in a sea of plain sneakers. Although they were a short-lived trend, Punky Brewster sneakers captured the essence of the 80s. Bold, carefree, and unapologetically fun. Charm bracelets with jangling trinkets. Do you remember the joyful sound of charms jingling on a bracelet as you moved? Charm bracelets with jangling trinkets were the ultimate keepsake of the 1980s. Each bracelet told a story, with every charm representing a memory, a hobby, or a wish. Unlike plastic charm necklaces, these bracelets were often made of metal, giving them a more classic and timeless feel. The charms came in countless shapes: tiny hearts, animals, sports equipment, or even zodiac signs. Collecting and adding new charms turned each bracelet into a one-of-a-kind treasure. For many, receiving a charm bracelet was a rite of passage. It wasn't just jewelry, it was deeply personal. Each charm had meaning, whether it was gifted by a loved one or chosen to mark a special event. Even though they've fallen out of fashion, charm bracelets remain a nostalgic reminder of the small, meaningful moments that shaped a generation. Lace glove is that? Do you remember when accessories could make you feel like a rock star? Lace gloves were the epitome of edgy sophistication in the 1980s, thanks to fashion icons like Madonna, who made them a must-have item. These fingerless gloves came in black, white, and bold neon colors, often adorned with intricate patterns or rhinestones. Lace gloves weren't just an accessory, they were a statement. Worn with layered necklaces, teased hair, and oversized bows, they symbolized the daring, rebellious spirit of the decade. For teens, they were a way to channel their inner pop star, adding a touch of glamour and attitude to their outfits. What made lace gloves special was their versatility. They could be paired with a formal dress for a night out, or thrown on with jeans and a leather jacket for a casual punk-inspired look. They were a little risque, a little glamorous, and 100% 80s. While their popularity faded with the decade, lace gloves remain a nostalgic reminder of the bold, fearless fashion that defined the era. Rubber bracelets, jelly bracelets. Can a simple bracelet hold a story? Rubber bracelets or jelly bracelets were inexpensive, colorful loops of rubber that became a sensation in the 1980s. Kids and teens wore them stacked high on their wrists, creating a rainbow of possibilities. These bracelets were more than just accessories. They were tokens of friendship, love, and identity. Trading jelly bracelets was a common ritual, and wearing a certain color could even signal a hidden message. For some, they were a way to show loyalty to a favorite pop star or band, especially with Madonna rocking wearing them as part of her signature look. The simplicity of jelly bracelets made them universally appealing. They were affordable, durable, and endlessly customizable. Whether you wore a few or an entire armful, they added a splash of color and personality to any outfit. Though they've disappeared from mainstream fashion, jelly bracelets hold a special place in the hearts of those who remember the joy of collecting and trading them. Velcro wallets. Do you remember the satisfying rip of a Velcro wallet opening? These wallets, made of durable nylon or canvas with bright designs, were a staple for kids and teens in the 80s. They combined practicality with the bold colors and patterns that defined the decade's style. Velcro wallets were built to last. The material could withstand daily wear and tear, while the Velcro ensured your cash, coins, and school ID stayed secure. They were lightweight, easy to use, and affordable, making them a perfect first wallet for young people. Beyond their functionality, Velcro wallets were a fashion statement. Many featured logos of popular brands, sports teams, or cartoon characters, allowing kids to show off their interest with pride. Opening one in the cafeteria or at the arcade made you feel a little cooler, a little more grown up. Though they've been replaced by sleeker designs, Velcro wallets remain a nostalgic symbol of 80s practicality and style. Swatch guards. Do you remember protecting your Swatch watch with colorful rubber guards? These quirky accessories were designed to safeguard your prized Swatch from scratches and scuffs, but they quickly became a fashion statement in their own right. Swatch guards came in bright neon colors and bold designs, turning a simple timepiece into a customizable accessory. They added flair and personality, allowing wearers to mix and match guards to suit their mood or outfit. For teens, having a Swatch watch wasn't just about telling time, it was about making a statement. Adding a Swatch guard elevated your style and made your watch stand out in a sea of identical designs. While Swatch watches are still around, the guards have largely faded from memory. Yet, for those who embraced this trend, they were an essential part of expressing individuality in the 80s. Patterned suspenders. When was the last time you saw suspenders as a fashion trend? In the 80s, patterned suspenders weren't just for holding up pants. They were bold, eye-catching accessories that added personality to any outfit. From polka dots and stripes to cartoon characters and flashy neon colors, suspenders became a way to make a statement. Paired with high-waisted pants and oversized shirts, they embodied the quirky, carefree spirit of the era. Suspenders were especially popular with the punk and alternative scenes, adding a touch of rebellion to the trend. But they weren't limited to subcultures. Celebrities and TV characters wore them too, making them a widespread fad. Though they've disappeared from mainstream fashion, patterned suspenders remain a nostalgic nod to the 80s, when even the smallest accessory could make the biggest impact. Paint-splattered clothing. Do you remember when looking like you just stepped out of an art studio was peak fashion? Paint-splattered clothing became a bold trend in the 1980s, turning ordinary garments into wearable works of art. This trend wasn't about actual paint accidents, but deliberate designs that mimicked the chaotic beauty of a painter's palette. Jeans, denim jackets, and even shoes were splashed with colorful, abstract patterns that screamed individuality and creativity. It was messy, vibrant, and perfectly aligned with the 80s ethos of self-expression. What made paint-splattered clothing so appealing was its DIY aesthetic. Some embraced store-bought versions from trendy brands, while others took to their own wardrobes with actual paintbrushes to craft unique pieces. It was a trend that blurred the line between fashion and art, inviting everyone to get creative. Though it faded into obscurity, paint-splattered clothing remains a nostalgic reminder of the bold and carefree energy that defined 80s style. Boom boxes. What if your music could make you the center of attention? Boomboxes were the ultimate symbol of 80s street culture, combining portability with powerful sound. Carrying a boombox on your shoulder wasn't just about listening to music, it was about sharing it with everyone around you. These portable stereos featured cassette players, AM/FM radios, and booming speakers that turned sidewalks, skate parks, and schoolyards into instant party zones. Boomboxes were more than just music players. They were statements of identity. The choice of model, size, and how you customized it, stickers, paint, or even extra speakers, reflected your taste and personality. For breakdancers, boomboxes were essential, providing beats for their performances. As personal headphones took over, boomboxes fell out of favor, but they remain a beloved relic of a time when music brought people together. Bedazzled denim. Do you remember when a simple pair of jeans could be transformed into a dazzling masterpiece? Bedazzled denim was a defining look of the 1980s, bringing rhinestones, studs, and sequins to jackets, jeans, and skirts. The appeal of bedazzled denim lay in its ability to elevate casual wear into something glamorous and unique. The trend was popularized by celebrities and music videos, inspiring fans to add their own sparkle to their outfits. From intricate designs on jacket backs to glittering embellishments along jean pockets, the possibilities were endless. DIY kits made bedazzling accessible to everyone, turning crafting into a fashion statement. It wasn't just about following trends, it was about creating a personalized style that turned heads. Though the sparkle faded over time, bedazzled denim remains a nostalgic icon of the decade's love for all things bold and flashy. Neon shoelaces. How could a pair of shoelaces become a fashion statement? In the 80s, neon shoelaces weren't just functional, they were a way to add a pop of color to any outfit. Bright yellows, pinks, greens, and oranges stood out against plain white sneakers or dark boots, making every step feel more playful. Neon shoelaces weren't just an accessory, they were a mood. Swapping out boring laces for neon ones instantly gave your shoes an 80s vibe. Some even layered multiple colors in the same shoe for an extra bold look. For kids and teens, neon shoelaces were an affordable way to participate in the decade's love for color and individuality. They were often paired with other neon trends, creating outfits that could light up a room, literally. Though shoelaces are rarely noticed today, neon laces remain a nostalgic detail from a time when even the smallest fashion choices mattered. Parachute jackets. Do you remember feeling unstoppable in a parachute jacket? Lightweight, shiny, and effortlessly cool, these jackets were the epitome of 80s casual wear. They were designed to mimic the sleek material of parachute pants, offering a unique texture and sheen that made them stand out. Parachute jackets were perfect for layering, keeping wearers warm without being bulky. Their breathable fabric and oversized style made them ideal for everything from school to dance floors. Bright neon colors and bold geometric patterns added to their appeal, making them a favorite among teens embracing the 80s aesthetic. The jackets weren't just about function, they were about attitude. Paired with sneakers and jeans, they created a look that was effortlessly trendy. Though their popularity faded, parachute jackets remain a nostalgic reminder of the era's bold approach to fashion and individuality. Animal print everything. Do you remember when wearing animal print wasn't just bold, it was iconic? The 80s were a time when leopard spots, zebra stripes, and tiger patterns weren't just reserved for nature. They dominated wardrobes, home decor, and even accessories. Animal print wasn't just a style, it was a statement. Whether it was a daring leopard print coat, a zebra striped skirt, or tiger patterned leggings, these designs let people express their wild side. Celebrities like Cyndi Lauper and Pat Benatar brought animal prints to the mainstream, cementing their place in 80s fashion. It wasn't limited to clothing either. Animal prints made their way onto furniture, bedding, and even handbags. The patterns were bold and unapologetic, reflecting the decade's love for individuality and drama. Though the craze eventually toned down, animal prints remain a reminder of the fearless fashion choices that defined the 1980s. Checkerboard Vans shoes. What if a pair of sneakers could define an entire subculture? Checkerboard Vans became a must-have in the 80s, representing a blend of rebellion, individuality, and laid-back cool. Originally popularized by skaters and surfers, these slip-on shoes with their black and white checkerboard pattern quickly became an icon. Their lightweight design made them perfect for skating, while their bold pattern added an edge to any outfit. The trend exploded when they were featured in the movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High, worn by Sean Penn's character Spicoli. Suddenly, they weren't just skater shoes, they were a cultural statement. Checkerboard Vans symbolized the carefree, rebellious spirit of the 80s youth, and while they've remained popular, they'll always be most closely associated with their breakout moment in that iconic decade. Zipper earrings. Do you remember when even your jewelry could make a bold statement? Zipper earrings were one of the quirkiest trends of the 80s, turning an everyday object into a funky fashion accessory. These earrings featured miniature zippers, often in metallic finishes or bright neon colors, dangling from hooks. They were playful, edgy, and perfectly aligned with the era's love for turning the mundane into something fabulous. Zipper earrings weren't just a trend, they were a way to stand out. Paired with punk-inspired outfits or neon fashion, they added a touch of rebellion to any look. Teens and young adults loved them for their unexpected design and how they turned heads. Though they've largely disappeared, zipper earrings remain a nostalgic nod to the era's fearless creativity. Roll on glitter. Do you remember when everything needed a touch of sparkle? Roll-on glitter was the ultimate beauty accessory of the 80s, turning even the simplest look into something dazzling. Packaged in small tubes with rollerball applicators, this glitter gel was easy to use and perfect for applying to cheeks, eyelids, or even shoulders. The shimmer it added wasn't just subtle, it was bold, making anyone wearing it shine under the disco lights. Roll-on glitter wasn't just makeup, it was a mood. It embodied the carefree, party-loving spirit of the 80s, and for many, applying it before a night out felt like a magical ritual. While modern beauty trends have shifted towards subtlety, roll-on glitter is a nostalgic reminder of a time when more was always better. Glow-in-the-dark stars. What if you could bring the night sky into your bedroom? Glow-in-the-dark stars were a staple of 80s decor, transforming ceilings into constellations with just a little creativity. These small plastic stars absorbed light during the day and glowed softly at night, creating a magical effect that delighted kids and teens. They were easy to apply with adhesive backs, making them a simple yet enchanting way to personalize a space. For many, these stars turned bedtime into an adventure. Lying under a glowing sky sparked imagination and a sense of wonder, making them more than just decor. They were a childhood memory in the making. Though they've become less common, glow-in-the-dark stars remain a cherished symbol of the playful, imaginative spirit of the 80s. Friendship pins. Do you remember when the simplest gesture could mean the world? Friendship pins were a heartfelt 1980s trend where tiny safety pins adorned with colorful beads symbolized connection and loyalty. They were easy to make, affordable, and incredibly meaningful, making them a cherished token among friends. The process of creating friendship pins was as important as giving them. Carefully selecting bead colors and patterns allowed for personalization, whether to reflect someone's favorite hues, a shared inside joke, or school spirit. Once completed, these tiny works of art were pinned onto shoelaces, backpacks, or jackets, creating a jangly, colorful display of camaraderie. What made friendship pins special was their universality. Everyone, from kids on the playground to teens in high school, embraced this simple yet powerful trend. Trading or gifting pins became a ritual, a way to solidify friendships or show appreciation. They didn't require much money, just a little creativity and thoughtfulness, which made them accessible to everyone. Though friendship pins faded as the 80s gave way to new trends, they remain a nostalgic reminder of a time when tiny gestures spoke volumes about connection and care. Sweatbands. What if looking sporty was as important as being sporty? In the 1980s, sweatbands became more than just functional accessories for workouts. They were a fashion statement that everyone, from athletes to pop stars, embraced. Brightly colored or neon, sweatbands were worn around the forehead or wrists and paired with matching athletic gear. Thanks to the aerobics craze, led by icons like Jane Fonda, sweatbands became synonymous with fitness culture, but their appeal went far beyond the gym. Teens and young adults wore them casually, blending athleticism with everyday style. Sweatbands weren't just about looks, they served a purpose, absorbing sweat during high-energy activities like running, dancing, or aerobics. But their bold designs and vibrant colors made them stand out, transforming practical gear into a trend. While sweatbands have largely disappeared from mainstream fashion, they still evoke the electric energy and colorful spirit of the 1980s, when fitness and flair went hand in hand. Sticker albums. Who remembers the thrill of trading stickers with friends to complete a sticker album? In the 1980s, these glossy, themed books turned collecting into an obsession for kids and teens alike. Sticker albums came in a variety of themes, from popular cartoons and movies to animals and fantasy worlds. Each page was designed with blank spaces, encouraging collectors to find and trade stickers to complete the set. The joy wasn't just in the collecting, it was in the hunt. Whether at school, on the playground, or during weekend market trips, swapping stickers became a social ritual. Foil and holographic stickers were particularly prized, often becoming the centerpiece of a collection. The more unique your stickers, the more bragging rights you earned among your peers. Sticker albums taught patience, negotiation, and the thrill of achieving a goal. While they may seem simple by today's standards, they brought joy and connection to countless 80s kids, making them an unforgettable fad. Feathered hair extension. Do you remember when adding feathers to your hair was the height of fashion? Feathered hair extensions were a playful 1980s trend that added a touch of whimsy to hairstyles, blending bohemian charm with bold, colorful flair. These extensions came in a variety of vibrant colors or natural tones, clipped into hair to create an effortless statement. Paired with teased bangs or crimped locks, feathered extensions fit seamlessly into the era's big, expressive hairstyles. They were lightweight, easy to attach, and could be layered for added drama. The trend wasn't just about aesthetics, it was about individuality. Adding feathers to your hair let you showcase your creativity and stand out from the crowd. Whether worn to school, concerts, or parties, they were an easy way to elevate your look without much effort. While feathered hair extensions eventually faded, they remain a vivid reminder of the 80s, when fashion was all about having fun and expressing yourself boldly. 4. What happened to the cereals that made breakfast the best part of the day? In this video, we'll explore 20 forgotten cereals from the 1980s we want back. From Pac-Man cereal to Oreo O's, we'll uncover the flavors and nostalgia behind these lost favorites. Stay tuned to relive your childhood mornings. 1. Dunkin' Donuts cereal.
Or glazed donut flavors, or both as part of a nutritious breakfast. Dunkin' Donuts cereal.
Imagine starting your morning with the irresistible flavor of donuts without having to make a trip to the bakery. That's exactly what Dunkin' Donuts cereal brought to breakfast tables in the 1980s. With 2 indulgent flavors, powdered sugar and chocolate, this cereal turned the iconic coffee shop treat into a crunchy, sweet start to your day. Each bite was packed with a rich, sugary coating that tasted like it had just been dunked into a cup of coffee, or milk for kids. The cereal pieces were shaped like mini donuts, making every spoonful feel playful and fun. It wasn't just a breakfast, it was an experience, appealing to both kids and adults alike. What made Dunkin' Donuts cereal stand out wasn't just the flavor, it was the branding. The cereal capitalized on Dunkin' Donuts' growing popularity at the time, creating a sense of novelty and excitement for fans of the franchise. Breakfast became a moment to indulge in the familiar taste of donuts, but in a completely new way. Unfortunately, as cereal trends shifted toward healthier options, Dunkin' Donuts cereal disappeared from shelves. But for those who tasted its donut-inspired sweetness, it remains a beloved memory of indulgent breakfasts gone by. 2. Smurfberry Crunch.
Eat it, of course! Smurfberry Crunch, a very smurfy part of this nutritious breakfast.
What could be more fun than starting your day with a cereal inspired by your favorite blue cartoon characters? Smurfberry Crunch wasn't just a cereal, it was a ticket to the magical world of the Smurfs, bringing the whimsy of the show to breakfast tables across America. Smurfberry Crunch featured bright berry-flavored cereal pieces that turned your milk blue, a small but delightful detail that added to the fun. For kids, it was like eating a piece of Smurf Village every morning. The flavors were fruity and sweet, perfectly capturing the carefree, adventurous spirit of the show's characters. The marketing behind Smurfberry Crunch was just as memorable, with colorful packaging featuring the Smurfs and commercials that transported kids into their animated world. The cereal became a sensation. It wasn't just food, it was part of the Smurf experience. Despite its popularity, Smurfberry Crunch eventually faded away, leaving fans longing for its vibrant colors and nostalgic flavors. 3. C-3PO's cereal.
Now you can experience the taste of Kellogg's C-3PO.
Star Wars fans of the 1980s had a galaxy of merchandise to choose from, but C-3PO's cereal stood out as a breakfast staple for young Jedi everywhere. Launched after the success of The Return of the Jedi, this honey-sweetened cereal shaped like figure eights brought a piece of the Star Wars universe into the kitchen. The cereal's flavor was simple but satisfying, with a light sweet crunch that appealed to kids and adults alike. Each box came with collectible Star Wars cards or stickers, making breakfast an exciting event for fans who couldn't get enough of their favorite droid. What made C-3PO's cereal truly special was how it captured the magic of Star Wars. From the golden box design featuring everyone's favorite protocol droid to the promise of adventure in every bite, it made mornings feel like a journey to a galaxy far, far away. Unfortunately, the cereal was short-lived, and while Star Wars merchandise has only grown, C-3PO's cereal remains a cherished memory for fans of both the franchise and 1980s breakfasts. 4. Mr. T cereal.
And who's teaming up with a good balanced breakfast?
Teaming up with Mr. T cereal.
I pity the fool who doesn't eat my cereal. If you grew up in the 1980s, chances are you remember Mr. T cereal, a breakfast that packed as much personality as its namesake. This crunchy corn cereal was shaped like little T's and had a sweet golden flavor similar to Cap'n Crunch. Mr. T cereal wasn't just about the taste, it was a celebration of the larger-than-life star of the A-Team. The box featured a bold image of Mr. T, and the commercials were just as energetic, encouraging kids to start their day with confidence and strength. For fans of Mr. T, this cereal wasn't just breakfast. It was a way to channel his tough, no-nonsense attitude. Whether you were watching Saturday morning cartoons or pretending to be part of the A-Team, Mr. T cereal brought fun and empowerment to the table. Despite its popularity, the cereal didn't last long, but its bold flavor and even bolder branding left a lasting impression. 5 ice cream cone cereal.
Ice Cream Jones, I'll bring the great new taste of ice cream cones, new ice cream cone cereal.
Who says you can't have dessert for breakfast? Ice cream cones, cereal that broke all the rules in the 1980s, delivering the flavors of your favorite frozen treat in a box. Shaped like tiny ice cream cones and clusters, this cereal came in 2 delicious varieties, vanilla and chocolate chip. Each bite was sweet and crunchy, with just the right amount of flavor to make you feel like you were enjoying a scoop of ice cream. The cone-shaped pieces were fun to eat, and the clusters added a creamy burst of sweetness, making it a hit with kids who loved its playful design. The commercials were just as fun, featuring a mascot called Ice Cream Jones, who delivered the cereal in a whimsical ice cream truck. Breakfast became an adventure, with each bowl bringing a little bit of summertime joy to the morning routine. Despite its unique concept and initial popularity, ice cream cone cereal melted off store shelves by the late 1980s. For those who remember it, it's a sweet reminder of a time when breakfast was full of creativity and fun. 6 Pac-Man cereal.
The delicious part of this nutritious breakfast.
Waka, Waka, Waka. Pac-Man cereal brought the excitement of the iconic arcade game straight to the breakfast table. This fruity cereal featured yellow corn puffs shaped like Pac-Man and marshmallow pieces resembling the game's colorful ghosts, turning every bowl into a playful adventure. The fruity flavor was sweet and vibrant, appealing to kids who couldn't get enough of Pac-Man fever in the 1980s. The marshmallows added a fun, chewy texture that kept things interesting, while the tie-in to the video game made it a must-have for young gamers. Pac-Man cereal didn't just taste good, it was a marketing masterpiece. The commercials brought the game to life, featuring animated Pac-Man characters in lively scenarios that perfectly captured the fun and whimsy of the arcade hit. Each box also included collectible items like stickers or mini-games, keeping fans engaged long after breakfast was over. Despite its popularity, Pac-Man cereal eventually disappeared, leaving fans nostalgic for a time when breakfast felt like a level up. 7 Crunchy Stars.
Scrumptious Crunchy Stars, part of this nutritious breakfast. Crunchy Stars, great.
Bork, bork, bork. Crunchy Stars, a cinnamon-flavored cereal starring the Swedish chef from The Muppets, was as wacky and lovable as its mascot. This cereal combined crunchy, star-shaped pieces with a sweet cinnamon flavor, making it a breakfast treat kids couldn't resist. The humor of the Swedish chef was infused into every aspect of Crunchy Stars, from the packaging to the advertisements. The cereal box featured comical phrases in the chef's signature gibberish, and the commercials were packed with slapstick antics that had kids laughing as much as eating. Crunchy Stars stood out not just for its flavor, but for its personality. The Swedish chef brought a level of charm and fun to breakfast that other cereals couldn't match. Unfortunately, this Muppet-inspired delight didn't stay on shelves for long, becoming a fleeting but unforgettable part of 1980s breakfast culture. 8 Rocky Road cereal.
Rocky Road Cereal presents Live! That's the Cereal Bowl! It's the Rocky Road.
Dessert for breakfast? Rocky Road cereal made it happen. With chocolate puffs, mini marshmallows, and nut-flavored clusters, it turned every morning into a sweet, indulgent treat. This cereal captured the essence of the popular ice cream flavor, bringing its rich dessert-like appeal to cereal bowls across the country. The mix of textures made Rocky Road cereal truly unique. The chocolate puffs provided a rich cocoa flavor, while the marshmallows added a soft, chewy contrast. The nut-flavored clusters tied it all together, creating a perfect harmony of sweet and crunchy. Rocky Road cereal's clever concept and delicious taste won it a loyal fan base. However, its dessert-like qualities likely contributed to its decline as cereal trends shifted toward healthier options. Still, for those who remember it, Rocky Road cereal remains a decadent reminder of the 1980s breakfast scene. 9 Donkey Kong cereal.
Donkey Kong cereal is part of this complete.
Inspired by the iconic video game, Donkey Kong cereal was a barrel of fun for kids in the 1980s. Shaped like tiny barrels and flavored with honey, this cereal brought the world of Donkey Kong to life in a way that delighted young gamers. The cereal's honey flavor was simple yet satisfying, while the barrel shapes made it instantly recognizable as a tie-in to the classic arcade game. It was the perfect blend of sweet and crunchy, appealing to both cereal enthusiasts and video game fans alike. Donkey Kong cereal was more than just breakfast. It was a cultural moment. The marketing capitalized on the video game craze of the time, with commercials featuring Donkey Kong himself and playful imagery straight from the game. Despite its appeal, Donkey Kong cereal eventually disappeared, leaving fans wishing they could power up their mornings with this nostalgic favorite once more. 10. Rainbow Bright cereal.
No murked out breakfast for us. Fruit flavor, colorful bites, rainbow bright.
Colorful, fruity, and full of 1980s charm, Rainbow Bright cereal was as vibrant as its namesake character. This cereal featured colorful, star-shaped pieces that perfectly captured the magical world of Rainbow Bright, turning breakfast into a rainbow-filled adventure. The fruity flavor was sweet and bright, appealing to kids who loved the cheerful colors and playful shapes. Each bowl was like a little piece of Rainbow Land, making it an instant favorite among fans of the animated series. The marketing for Rainbow Bright cereal leaned heavily into the character's popularity. With commercials showing Rainbow Bright and her friends spreading joy, the cereal felt like a natural extension of the show. Kids couldn't resist the opportunity to bring a little magic to their mornings. While the cereal faded along with the Rainbow Bright craze, it remains a fond memory for those who grew up watching the beloved character light up their screens and their breakfast tables. So, 11. E.T. cereal.
New E.T. cereal. A glowing part of this good breakfast.
When E.T. the Extraterrestrial captivated audiences in the 1980s, its cultural impact extended far beyond the movie theater, including breakfast tables. E.T. cereal celebrated the beloved alien with a peanut butter and chocolate flavor combo that delighted fans of all ages. This cereal featured small, crunchy pieces shaped like the iconic E and T initials. The flavor was rich and indulgent, with the creamy nuttiness of peanut butter paired with a sweet hint of chocolate. For kids, it felt like a treat straight from outer space, adding a magical touch to their morning routine. What made E.T. cereal stand out wasn't just its taste, but its connection to the movie's heartfelt story. The box designs featured images of E.T. and Elliot, and many included collectible items like stickers or cutout activities, allowing fans to relive the magic of the film while enjoying breakfast. Despite its popularity, E.T. cereal disappeared as the hype around the movie faded. For those who grew up with it, the cereal remains a nostalgic reminder of a time when breakfast was as enchanting as the movies that inspired it. 12. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cereal. Cowabunga, dude. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cereal was the ultimate breakfast choice for fans of the pizza-loving heroes in a half shell. Introduced during the height of the Turtles' popularity in the late 1980s, this cereal turned mornings into a ninja-powered adventure. The cereal consisted of crunchy, sweetened corn pieces shaped like nets, accompanied by marshmallows representing the Turtles' weapons and faces. Every bite was a playful mix of textures and flavors, making it a hit with kids who couldn't get enough of Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael. The marketing for the cereal was just as memorable. Commercials featured the Turtles in action, often battling Shredder while encouraging kids to fuel up for their own day of ninja training. The boxes often included small prizes like stickers, masks, or collectible cards, adding extra excitement to breakfast. Though the Turtles remain iconic, the cereal didn't last beyond the early 1990s. However, for fans, it's a nostalgic piece of childhood tied to Saturday morning cartoons and the endless fun of the TMNT universe. 13. Ghostbusters cereal.
With milk and juice and toast, a nutritious breakfast with the ghosts.
Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters cereal. Released in the late 1980s, this cereal capitalized on the success of the movie franchise and animated series, making breakfast a ghost-busting good time. The cereal featured fruity, crunchy pieces shaped like the Ghostbusters logo, accompanied by marshmallow ghosts. It was bright, colorful, and perfectly tailored to the cartoonish fun of the Ghostbusters brand. The fruity flavor, while not groundbreaking, was just sweet enough to win over kids, while the marshmallows added an extra pop of sugary goodness. Ghostbusters cereal came with clever marketing, including commercials featuring animated versions of the Ghostbusters taking on spooky cereal-related scenarios. Some boxes included glow-in-the-dark stickers or mini toys, giving kids even more reason to look forward to breakfast. Although it disappeared by the early 90s, Ghostbuster cereal remains a sweet relic of a time when blockbuster movies didn't just entertain you, they fueled your mornings. 14. Gremlin cereal.
Gremlin cereal is part of this complete breakfast.
Don't feed them after midnight, but definitely enjoy them at breakfast. Gremlin cereal brought the spooky fun of the 1984 hit movie to cereal aisles, with a cinnamon-flavored crunch that fans couldn't resist. The cereal was shaped like tiny gremlin heads, giving it a playful, slightly mischievous vibe. The cinnamon flavor was a warm and comforting contrast to the spooky theme, making it a great choice for both kids and adults. What made Gremlin cereal unique was how it captured the spirit of the movie. The packaging and commercials leaned into the film's balance of humor and horror, featuring Gizmo as the adorable mascot and nods to the Gremlins' chaotic antics. It was a perfect way to bring the movie's quirky energy into the breakfast experience. Though it didn't last long, Gremlin cereal remains a nostalgic favorite for those who remember its delightful mix of flavor and pop culture fun. 15. King Vitamin.
Well, I will as long as I keep eating this.
King Vitamin cereal, a royal treat from Quaker.
Before sugary cereals dominated breakfast tables, King Vitamin was a staple for families looking for a sweet but simple morning meal. Launched in the 1960s and reaching peak popularity in the 1980s, this oat-based cereal was mildly sweetened and marketed as a healthier alternative to other kids' cereals. The cereal featured crown-shaped pieces that were both crunchy and satisfying. Its flavor was understated compared to the bold sweetness of its competitors, but that made it a favorite for parents who wanted something less sugary while still keeping their kids happy. The real charm of King Vitamin was in its branding. The cereal's royal mascot, a jovial king, was featured prominently on the box, often alongside whimsical medieval-themed marketing. Kids loved the playful imagery, while parents appreciated the focus on wholesome ingredients. By the late 1980s, King Vitamin began to fade from shelves, overtaken by flashier cereals with more intense flavors. However, its nostalgic appeal endures for those who grew up enjoying its simple, satisfying crunch. 16. Frosted Rice Crinkles. Frosted Rice Crinkles that were a sugary twist on traditional Rice Krispies, offering a sweet and crunchy breakfast that kids in the 1980s adored. Unlike the plain, versatile Rice Krispies, this cereal was pre-sweetened and coated in a sugary glaze that added an extra layer of flavor to every bite. The cereal's light, airy texture combined with the frosted coating created a perfect balance of crunch and sweetness. It was an instant hit for families who wanted a more indulgent breakfast option without losing the beloved crispness of rice cereal. The marketing behind Frosted Rice Crinkles leaned on colorful mascots and playful designs, making it visually appealing to children. While the cereal was often overshadowed by other sugary competitors, it held its own as a favorite for those who craved a simple yet delicious treat. As the 1980s drew to a close, Frosted Rice Crinkles disappeared, leaving behind fond memories of frosted mornings and the satisfying snap, crackle, and pop of a sweeter era. 17. Oreo O's.
Oreo O's, part of this good breakfast. Give it up for the cream team.
What if you could have cookies for breakfast? Oreo O's made that dream a reality in the late 1980s. This cereal transformed the iconic Oreo cookie into crunchy, chocolatey O-shaped pieces that were sweet, satisfying, and just a little indulgent. Each bite captured the classic flavor of Oreos, with a rich chocolate taste balanced by a hint of creaminess. When paired with milk, the cereal mimicked the experience of dunking Oreos, creating a nostalgic and playful breakfast treat. Oreo O's became an instant favorite for kids and adults alike, blending the joy of a beloved snack with the convenience of a cereal. However, as the 1990s ushered in healthier breakfast options, Oreo O's struggled to maintain its popularity and eventually disappeared from shelves. Though it has made occasional comebacks in select markets, the original Oreo O's holds a special place in the hearts of 1980s cereal lovers. 18. Powdered Donut Cereal. For anyone who loved the taste of powdered donuts, powdered donut cereal was a dream come true. Introduced in the 1980s, this cereal turned the iconic breakfast pastry into tiny powdered sugar-covered cereal rings, creating a sweet and satisfying start to the day. The cereal pieces were lightly dusted with powdered sugar, giving them a unique flavor and texture that set them apart from other sweet cereals. Each bite was like a mini donut, making breakfast feel indulgent and fun. Powdered donut cereal was marketed as a playful twist on traditional breakfast foods, appealing to kids and adults who enjoyed its clever concept. However, its sugary coating and niche appeal meant it struggled to compete with other cereal juggernauts of the time. While it didn't last long, powdered donut cereal remains a fond memory for those who craved a little extra sweetness in their mornings. 19. Chocolate chip cookie crisp. What could be better than cookies for breakfast? Chocolate chip cookie crisp was a decadent spin on the popular Cookie Crisp cereal, swapping plain cookies for chocolate chip studded bites that felt like a dessert masquerading as breakfast. The cereal pieces resembled miniature chocolate chip cookies, complete with visible chocolate chunks. The flavor was rich and sweet, with the chocolate adding a decadent touch that made it feel more like a treat than a meal. Chocolate chip cookie Crisp's commercials leaned heavily into its dessert for breakfast theme, appealing to kids' imaginations while reassuring parents that it was fortified with vitamins and minerals. The mix of indulgence and nostalgia made it a hit, but its overly sweet profile eventually led to its decline as cereal trends shifted. For those who remember it, Chocolate Chip Cookie Crisp was a sugary delight that made mornings feel just a little more exciting. 20. Pro Stars cereal.
Reach for your star!
Endorsed by sports legends like Wayne Gretzky, Pro Stars cereal was a corn and oat breakfast designed to fuel young athletes and inspire fans. Launched in the 1980s, it combined a lightly sweetened flavor with the promise of high energy and a connection to sports stardom. The cereal pieces were shaped like stars, symbolizing athletic excellence and appealing to kids who dreamed of becoming sports heroes themselves. The flavor was subtle but enjoyable, making it a wholesome option compared to some of the sugar-packed cereals of the time. Pro Stars stood out for its marketing, which featured not only commercials with famous athletes, but also partnerships with youth sports leagues and collectible items like trading cards. It was more than just a cereal. It was part of a larger lifestyle that celebrated fitness and achievement. Though it didn't last beyond the 1980s, Pro Stars cereal remains a nostalgic reminder of a time when breakfast felt like the first step toward greatness. These forgotten cereals take us back to a time when breakfast was as fun and imaginative as the cartoons we watched. From cookie-shaped bites to cereal inspired by our favorite characters, each one brought excitement to the morning table. Which of these cereals do you miss most? Let us know in the comments below. The 1980s were packed with unforgettable toys that defined a generation. From metal-tipped lawn darts to mad balls that were as gross as they were fun, these playthings ruled our childhoods, even if they came with a side of danger. Today, we're unboxing 25 wild and outrageous toys from the 80s that you probably shouldn't have played with, but did anyway. How many of these chaotic classics do you still remember? Lawn darts yarts.
Just we two.
Lawn darts, the Mozart. The ultimate outdoor game that answered the question no one asked. How do we turn backyard fun into a survival challenge? If you grew up in the 1980s, you might remember these hefty, spear-like projectiles that were tossed into the air with wild abandon, often landing far too close for comfort. The concept was simple: aim for a target ring on the ground. The reality? They were more likely to aim for your cousin's foot or Uncle Bob's head. These were not your run-of-the-mill toys. Made with metal tips sharp enough to penetrate the soil or skin, lawn darts caused over 6,000 injuries before being banned in 1988. For perspective, that's around the time Full House was teaching us valuable life lessons about family, and kids were learning a different kind of lesson from these toys. Physics plus poor aim equals disaster. While today's kids have water balloon fights, back in the 80s, we were dodging mini javelins. It's no wonder parents breathed a collective sigh of relief when the Consumer Product Safety Commission stepped in. But let's be honest, wasn't there something thrilling about the danger? Looking back, lawn darts were like the Top Gun of outdoor games. Exhilarating, a little reckless, and completely unforgettable. Cue the Kenny Loggins soundtrack. Snack time Cabbage Patch Kid.
Cabbage Patch Kids are each sold separately. Each doll comes with a pretend birth certificate and adoption papers from Coleco.
What could be cuter than a doll that eats? Enter the Snack Time Cabbage Patch Kid, a toy designed to munch on plastic snacks with its motorized jaw. Sounds harmless, right? Except this adorable chomper didn't discriminate between plastic food and, say, your hair, fingers, or anything else unfortunate enough to get near its relentless little mouth. Marketed as the must-have toy for kids who wanted their dolls to have lifelike traits, the Snack Time Cabbage Patch Kid quickly became a nightmare for parents and children alike. Imagine this, it's Christmas morning, 1987, little Susie is delighted as her new doll devours a fake carrot. But within minutes, the doll decides to snack on Susie's ponytail instead, leaving parents frantically trying to dislodge strands of hair from its unyielding mechanical maw. This wasn't just a toy, it was a horror movie waiting to happen. For a generation growing up on Gremlins and The Twilight Zone, this doll was the real-life embodiment of our fears, something innocent turning sinister. While the Snack Time Cabbage Patch Kid was eventually recalled, it lives on in infamy. These dolls weren't just toys, they were survival training for the kids of the 80s. Nostalgic? Maybe. Traumatizing? Definitely. Slime with a side of toxins. If you were a kid in the 80s, you probably remember slime, that gooey, squishy substance that came in bright colors and promised endless hours of gross-out fun. But what you might not know is that some batches of this iconic toy were packed with more than just sticky fun. Early versions of slime contained harmful chemicals that could cause rashes, allergic reactions, and other delightful surprises. Nothing says childhood memories quite like a toy that doubles as a science experiment gone wrong. Slime was a staple in every kid's arsenal of weird toys, often paired with other gross-out favorites like Garbage Pail Kids cards and creepy crawlers. But while the concept was pure genius, the execution wasn't always so safe. The issue? Cheap production methods and little concern for safety standards led to some dangerously questionable ingredients. Who needed science class when your toys were already teaching you about chemical burns? Despite its shady history, slime remains an enduring icon of 80s pop culture. Today, it's been reimagined as a harmless craft activity, but for those of us who lived through its sketchy beginnings, slime will always hold a special place in our hearts and possibly our medical record. Galoo's baby-faced dolls.
I call her Babyface. Babyface, she's the one, oh yeah. I make her so much fun, my Babyface.
Remember the Uncanny Valley? Galoo's baby-faced dolls practically built a summer home there. These dolls were marketed as adorably outrageous, with their oversized eyes, exaggerated facial expressions, and bizarrely articulated joints. But to many kids and parents, they were less cute and more, why does this doll look like it's plotting something? In an era where E.T. was heartwarming and Chucky was horrifying, baby-faced dolls somehow landed smack in the middle. The marketing promised that each doll had a unique personality, but all they really did was spark uneasy feelings. Kids wanted something to hug, not something that looked like it might steal their soul while they slept. Despite their short-lived popularity, these dolls became the stuff of playground legend. Did your friend's cousin's neighbor's doll really blink on its own? Probably not. But in the 80s, urban legends thrived, and these dolls fit the bill perfectly. Nostalgic for some, nightmarish for others? Either way, Galoo's baby-faced dolls have a permanent spot in the Hall of Questionable Toy Fame. Mad Balls.
Mad Ball, play with us. Mad Ball, Mad Ball. Now eat great, Mad Ball.
Gross, weird, wonderful. Mad Balls were everything the 1980s stood for in one rubber sphere. These grotesquely designed balls with names like Screamin' Mimi and Slobulus were a hit with kids who loved all things edgy and disgusting. They were the anti-Barbie, the antithesis of wholesome toys like Teddy Ruxpin, and boy did they revel in it. And Mad Balls were marketed as collectibles. But let's be real, most of them ended up being flung across the room, much to the dismay of parents and fragile household items. The problem? They weren't exactly safe. Made of a dense rubber material, they could cause serious damage if used as an impromptu projectile, which of course every kid immediately did. These gross-out toys were perfectly aligned with the 80s obsession with over-the-top characters and bizarre aesthetics. Think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles meets Garbage Pail Kids. Sure, they might not have taught kids anything useful, but they were pure, unadulterated fun. For a generation raised on MTV, neon colors, and everything extreme, Mad Balls were right at home. Looking back, they were weird, wild, and maybe a little dangerous. But wasn't that the point? He-Man Power Sword. If you wanted to feel like a true warrior in the 80s, the He-Man Power Sword was the ultimate accessory. Plastic, shiny, and full of promise, this toy gave kids the chance to wield the power of Grayskull, or at least pretend to. But what Mattel didn't advertise was just how hazardous this sword could be during backyard battle. Made of hard plastic with sharp edges, the Power Sword turned every play fight into a real-life duel. It was all fun and games until someone lost a tooth, got a black eye, or accidentally whacked their sibling hard enough to warrant a trip to the ER. It's a miracle there weren't more He-Man related injuries clogging up hospital waiting room. The 80s taught us to dream big and aim high, but it also taught us the painful consequences of over-enthusiastic swordplay. Looking back, the Power Sword was the perfect metaphor for the decade itself. Larger than life, slightly dangerous, and totally unforgettable. Sky Dancers.
Flying Sky Dancers, doll and doll with launcher sets, each sold separately.
Picture this, a beautiful fairy with wings that spin, soaring into the sky. Sounds magical, right? That was the promise of Sky Dancers, a toy that mesmerized kids with its elegant launch into the air. But the reality was far less enchanting. Once launched, these spinning fairies were completely uncontrollable, often colliding with walls, furniture, and unsuspecting faces. Sky Dancers were like the 80s version of Russian roulette for parents. Would it land gracefully or take out the family lamp? The unpredictability was part of the thrill, but also part of the problem. Reports of kids and adults suffering bruises, cuts, and even eye injuries led to the toy being pulled off shelves. Despite their dangerous reputation, Sky Dancers remain a beloved, if slightly terrifying, memory for anyone who experienced the magic and the mayhem. They embodied the 80s spirit of innovation, risk-taking, and a little chaos. Just keep your goggles on if they ever make a comeback. Easy Bake Oven, Hazardous Edition.
Kenner's Betty Crocker Easy Bake Mini Wave Oven. Preheat 15 minutes, light bulb not included.
The Easy Bake Oven was the stuff of dreams, a toy that let you bake real cakes with just a light bulb. But in the 80s, some models of this iconic toy were more hazardous than helpful. Kids eager to whip up tiny treats often found themselves burning fingers or worse, as certain editions of the oven had faulty designs that trapped small hands inside. And let's not forget the cakes themselves. Sure, they were edible, but just barely. The powdery mixes often resulted in a chewy, slightly burnt concoction that only a kid could love. Still, for a generation obsessed with DIY and creativity, the Easy Bake Oven was a rite of passage, albeit a slightly dangerous one. Boglin.
Hey, the name's Boglins, each sold separately, and we're looking for good homes. Maybe yours?
If Mad Balls had cousins, they'd be Boglins. These rubbery, grotesque puppets look like they crawled straight out of a sewer, or maybe a rejected Jim Henson concept. With their movable eyes and expressive faces, Boglins were undeniably cool, in a creepy sort of way. But here's the catch, they stank, literally. The material used to make these puppets gave off a strong rubbery odor that never quite went away. Combine that with their slimy texture and vaguely sinister appearance, and it's no wonder parents were less than thrilled. Still, Boglins captured the imagination of kids who loved all things weird and wild. They were a perfect fit for a decade that brought us The Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. Water Wiggle.
Water Wiggle! There's sweat in every wriggle. Water Wiggle!
What could it be more fun than a water toy on a hot summer day? Enter the Water Wiggle, a garden hose attachment that flailed unpredictably, spraying water everywhere. While it sounds harmless, this toy had a dark side. The heavy plastic nozzle at the end could whip around with enough force to cause serious injuries, and in one tragic case, even a fatality. The Water Wiggle was an unpredictable force of nature, much like the 80s themselves. Kids loved the chaos, but parents quickly grew wary of its dangers. By the late 80s, the toy was pulled from shelves, leaving behind a legacy of summertime fun and cautionary tales. Clackers. If there was a toy that perfectly encapsulated the dangerously fun spirit of the 80s, it had to be Clacker. These hard acrylic balls were connected by a string, and the goal was to swing them together until they clacked rhythmically. Sounds simple, right? Well, not when those balls could suddenly shatter into sharp flying fragments mid-swing. Clackers were a hit on playgrounds, but they were also the stuff of parental nightmares. Broken fingers, bruised knuckles, and shattered windows became common side effects of this seemingly harmless toy. Despite their hazardous reputation, Clackers were oddly addictive. They were like a physics experiment in your hands, and mastering their rhythm felt like an accomplishment. Just don't ask your parents about the dent they left in the family coffee table. Creepy Crawler's Bug Maker.
Embarrass your dad, you can be a little creep without being bad.
Creepy Crawler's Workshop with plastic.
What could be cooler than creating your own creepy crawlies? The Creepy Crawlers bug maker let kids heat up liquid plastic to mold their own colorful insects. The problem? The thing maker ovens got dangerously hot, often reaching temperatures high enough to burn little fingers. Parents bought these kits thinking they'd be a fun science-themed activity, but they often ended up supervising with a fire extinguisher nearby. Combine that with the fact that the plastic goop wasn't exactly non-toxic and you had a recipe for some truly questionable playtime. Still, kids of the 80s loved the gross out factor and the creative freedom, proving that sometimes danger was just part of the fun. Real Ghostbusters Proton Pack.
Ghostbusters!
Each sold separately.
Proton pack ready. Ghostbusters!
For every kid who dreamed of busting ghosts, the Real Ghostbusters Proton Pack was a dream come true. It came with a foam proton stream and all the gear needed to feel like a real Ghostbuster. But in true 80s fashion, safety wasn't exactly top of mind. The foam projectiles had a habit of hitting anything but their ghostly targets, often causing minor injuries or breaking household items. Meanwhile, the plastic proton gun was prone to snapping under enthusiastic play. Despite its flaws, the Proton Pack was iconic, a must-have for fans of the Ghostbusters cartoon and movie franchise. It may not have been safe, but for kids of the 80s, it was worth the risk. Monster Face.
It works!
Monster Face comes with everything shown here.
Monster Face was a craft kit with a twist. It let kids create horrifyingly grotesque monster heads using goo, plastic parts, and slime. The appeal was obvious. Who wouldn't want to make their own Frankenstein-like creation? But the execution left much to be desired. The slime ingredients often stained clothing, carpets, and even skin, while some of the smaller pieces posed choking hazards. To top it off, the monsters rarely turned out as cool as the ones on the box. Still, for kids who loved all things spooky, Monster Face was a messy, creepy delight, even if it left parents cringing. Pogo Ball.
Get the blast, Pogo Ball blaster. Get the blast, Pogo Ball blaster.
The Pogo Ball was marketed as a fun way to bounce around, but for many kids, it was more of a fast track to scrape knees and bruised elbows. This rubber ball with a plastic platform required serious balance, something most kids didn't have. The Pogo Ball wasn't inherently dangerous, but it demanded a level of coordination that often led to falls, sprains, and the occasional trip to the ER. Despite the risks, it became a pop culture hit, thanks to colorful TV commercials that made bouncing around look effortless. For kids of the 80s, mastering the Pogo Ball felt like a badge of honor and a lesson in perseverance. Teddy Ruxpin knockoffs and
One day, we found an old treasure map.
Teddy Ruxpin comes with illustrated book and cassette.
In the 1980s, Teddy Ruxpin was the gold standard of talking toys. But like any good trend, it wasn't long before knockoffs flooded the market. These cheaper imitations promised all the charm of the original, but often delivered more nightmare fuel than nostalgia. Many of these knockoff bears had malfunctioning mechanisms that caused their mouths to jam or their voices to distort into terrifying garbles. Picture a sweet bedtime story suddenly sounding like a demonic chant. Not exactly what parents had in mind. Some of these bears even overheated, adding an extra layer of danger to bedtime. The Roller Racer.
Roller Racer is so much fun, it's used in amusement parks and carnivals around the world.
My kids love them so much at Six Flags.
The Roller Racer looked like something out of a sci-fi movie. It was a low-to-the-ground ride-on toy that required kids to swing the handlebars side to side to propel themselves forward. While the concept was unique, the execution was chaotic. Kids often toppled over or crashed into walls while trying to master the tricky movement. Add in the fact that it was usually ridden indoors, with plenty of furniture to collide with, and you had a recipe for endless bruises and scuffed floors. Still, for the adventurous kids of the 80s, the Roller Racer was a blast, even if it left parents wincing. Talk Boy, Prototype Edition.
Hi kids, we're home early.
Tiger's new Talkboy tape recorder comes with audio cassette.
Before the Talkboy became a household name thanks to Home Alone 2, there was an early prototype that wasn't quite ready for prime time. Unlike the sleek version from the movie, this clunky gadget had limited recording capabilities and often garbled playback. Kids who got their hands on one found it more frustrating than fun. While later versions became a staple of 90s nostalgia, the Prototype Edition felt more like a disappointing tech experiment than a revolutionary toy. It was the 80s trying to predict the 90s and missing the mark by just a bit. Fireball Yo-Yo.
Yo, you wanna ride the string?
Yo, yo!
Yo, this thing!
Yo, Mega!
Yo-yos were all the rage in the 80s, and the Fireball yo-yo promised to take the trend to the next level. With its sleek design and promise of super fast spins, it sounded like a dream, but in reality, the Fireball often lived up to its name in the worst way. Faulty construction meant some of these yo-yos overheated during extended use, causing the plastic to warp or even melt. Combine that with the high-speed string snaps, and this toy quickly earned a reputation as more dangerous than dazzling. Zulu Toss-Across.
Toss-Across.
Bandit, you won!
Toss-Across from Titan.
Toss-Across was a tic-tac-toe game with a twist. Players threw beanbags at spinning panels to mark their spot. Sounds fun, right? The Zulu version took it up a notch by replacing the beanbags with small weighted balls that turned the game into a safety hazard. The heavier projectiles caused plenty of accidental injuries, from smashed fingers to black eye. While the original Toss-Across remained a classic, the Zulu edition was quickly discontinued, and for good reason. It was a reminder that sometimes simple is better. Powdered Wiggle Worm. Powdered wiggle worms were part toy, part science experiment. They came as a mysterious powder that, when mixed with water, transformed into squiggly, slimy worm. For kids in the 80s, it felt like magic, creating your own living creatures. But as with many 80s toys, the fun came with a side of danger. Powder contained chemicals that could irritate skin and in some cases cause allergic reaction. Worse, if it came into contact with eyes or mouths, and it always did, it could lead to burning sensations and frantic calls to poison control. Even the worms themselves were hazardous, as younger kids often tried to eat them. Despite the risks, powdered wiggle worms were a hit with adventurous kids who loved anything gross and gooey. They were like a chaotic mix of science and fun, perfectly embodying the experimental spirit of the 80s. Today, they wouldn't pass any safety test, but for those who remember them, they're a nostalgic mix of excitement and mild regret. The Face Bank. Saving money was never so creepy. The face bank was no ordinary piggy bank. It was a robotic contraption with a face that ate coins. With eyes that seemed to follow you and a mouth that mechanically chewed the money, it was equal parts fascinating and nightmare-inducing. For younger kids, the face bank was pure nightmare fuel. Its jerky movements and uncanny smile made it feel more like a possessed toy than a fun way to save money. Parents also complained that the bank had a habit of swallowing coins permanently, with no way to retrieve them. And let's not forget the fragile plastic construction that broke easily after one too many feedings. Despite its unsettling nature, the face bank remains one of the more bizarre and memorable toys of the decade. It was a blend of tech and quirkiness that could only have come out of the 80s. Whistling Popper Rockets. Whistling popper rockets were every kid's dream and every parent's nightmare. These small plastic rockets came with a launching mechanism that shot them into the air with a satisfying pop and an ear-splitting whistle. For kids, it was pure joy to watch the rocket soar sky high. For parents and neighbors, it was like enduring a small-scale air raid. The fun didn't stop there. Those rockets were unpredictable. They often veered wildly off course, hitting trees, rooftops, and unsuspecting heads. And the whistle? It was loud enough to make dogs bark and adults cringe. Unsurprisingly, safety concerns eventually led to these rockets being pulled from shelves. But for kids of the 80s, whistling popper rockets were worth every scolding. They were chaotic, noisy, and totally unforgettable, a perfect reflection of the decade itself. Super elastic bubble plastic.
Super elastic bubble plastic. Try it out. It's quite fantastic.
Super elastic bubble plastic was like a science experiment in a tube. You'd squeeze out a colorful blob of goo, use a straw to blow it up, and create weirdly stretchy, semi-transparent balloons. The catch? The goo was made from toxic chemicals that gave off strong fumes, making kids lightheaded after just a few minutes of play. The fun didn't stop with the potential for accidental chemical exposure. The balloons were fragile and prone to popping, often leaving sticky residue on furniture, hair, or anything unlucky enough to be nearby. Parents hated it, but kids loved the bizarre, slightly dangerous fun of creating their own bouncy plastic masterpieces. Looking back, super elastic bubble plastic was one of those toys that perfectly captured the 80s attitude. Bigger, bolder, and completely unconcerned with long-term consequences. Electric racing sets.
The Eye of Thundera is yours. Thundercats race to the Eye of Thundera Electric Racing. New from Tyco, of course.
Electric racing sets promise fast-paced fun with miniature cars zooming around a track at lightning speed, but the reality was often a little more hazardous. These tracks required precise assembly, and one loose connection could send cars flying off the track at dangerous speeds. Kids often learned the hard way that touching the exposed metal connectors could result in a painful electric shock. And then there were the cars themselves. The The small motorized vehicles were prone to overheating, and the smell of burning plastic became an unfortunate part of playtime. Despite the dangers, these racing sets were a prized possession for kids who wanted to feel like they were in the driver's seat of a high-octane adventure. Electric racing sets were the perfect mix of thrills and spills. They might have been frustrating and a little risky, but for kids in the 80s, that was all part of the fun. The 1980s weren't just a decade. They were a playground of creativity, chaos, and unforgettable memories. From the thrill of mastering a madball trick to the chaos of dodging a lawn dart, every toy carried a story. It was an era when imagination ran wild and safety labels took a back seat to fun. Do you ever find yourself longing for those simpler days of neon colors, outrageous trends, and carefree laughter? If this trip down memory lane brought a smile to your face, join us as we continue celebrating the magic of the 80s. Subscribe and let's keep the nostalgia alive, one memory at a time.